Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Cobalt Wins League Week 3 of the playoffs. We got ourselves a clash between Connecting Esports taking on Underworld Empire down here in the lower bracket, fighting for their tournament lives. My name is Sandbag, and joining me in the booth today is Beetle. Beetle, how we feeling? We ready to go?
Ooh, man, it's been such a long time since I was here at the Cobalt Wins League, but I heard that there was some good clashing going on in this tournament bracket. I saw these teams playing before, and then I heard a message, hey, we need a caster for this match. I was like, hell yeah, I want to see this rebranded the adventure going off the old ShipX. What do you call it? ShipX United. I really missed seeing my bunch of friends here at Cobalt Wins League. Glad to be back.
Absolutely. Wheeling you out of the retirement home for this one. Only the greatest and most accomplished caster of all time, in my opinion. It'll be a pleasure to share the booth with you. But yeah, have you been able to keep up with little bits, from the wheelchair?
I've seen a little bit from my retirement home with the current blankets that. You know what? Let me take my blanket off. Let me put away my soup.
Oh, okay,
I actually want to. I'm unleashed now. I'm gonna have a small little rant. ShipX United, man. There's been so many of my old friends of the previous leagues that we've played together. They were in that team. Sad to see that they are no longer playing for tonight. I think we have some swapping going around. Maybe it's part of the new rosters, I guess, that they have, because they have also been rebranded to Connecting Esports. It's really cool that they have been rebranded, but it might be a little bit confusing for some of you guys at home. So remember, Connecting Esports, now renamed, was before ShipX United. I've seen them play, I think it was 2-0, right, versus Underworld Empire. What a blast of a match that was. But hopefully I'm going to see 3 matches tonight, No longer 2 matches. We don't want to see a hard stomp. We want to see an adventure of these two teams.
Absolutely. As much Cobalt Wins League as we can get our hands on will always be a good time, but as you mentioned, we have a couple of roster shuffles here. Underworld Empire have subbed out the top half of their map, now featuring a Burger Flipper, Metaslave Jungler, and the Baboon. Can be monkeying around in the mid lane, but you've got anything really sticking out to you? Any names that you recognize? Except for the obvious, the ShipX run, right?
Well, one thing that I see from Underworld Empire, which I'm really glad actually, is that Caleb and Jesse are still in the bot lane. The two teams very known for playing around bot lane mostly. Hopefully Underworld Empire can bring something new this time, because they have a new top side, right? There's no reason to just try things out. Your opponent doesn't know your team that well. And also, it might help you divert a little bit from your previous playstyles. Because, if I have to play versus a team that is very bot side heavy, I'm going to prepare mostly for the bot side heavy. If you're going to bring in a wild card with having a top laner that suddenly goes 20-0, I'm going to flame my top laner first of all. But then in the end, I can say that the opponents, they were just stronger. They had a more diverse playbook. And that's also maybe going to help Underworld Empire in finally beating Connecting Esports and get that revenge of the 2-0 that they had before.
That's definitely, good thing that you point this out now, right before we launch in to take a little bit of a look at the champ select later on into this set. But yeah, you're right. Sometimes if you are indexing super, super heavy in one way, sometimes teams can get a little bit complacent, get a little bit lazy, just kind of, yeah, sure, just blind me Malphite, it'll be fine, guys. What could possibly go wrong? And then you pan your eyes away, pan your eyes back up, and the Mordekaiser's 15-0 and beating on your Nexus. You just you get a little bit too top lane doesn't matter, it's an island, and then we see an Olaf, a Fiora, something spicy up in the top lane that could absolutely mop up a game on their own if they're not prepared for it. So, yeah,
yes,
sure, bot lane focus, but we also want to see a little bit of diversity and make sure that we're not just neglecting anywhere on this map.
Yeah, exactly good that you're saying as well for the top side. You have that opportunity to just play a tank versus tank. But seeing now as well, Malphite being nerfed last patch, and you suddenly have a Garen that is being put into the playbook, together with the Poppy back in there as well. Maybe we're gonna see those two. You also have a possibility of having a spicy pick like a Lilia on the top side. I have no clue what Burger Flipper is capable of doing. I do know that he's a very good player. His solo queue rank, I think it was like Masters that he peaked. So In
Yep,
any
he's-
way, these two teams, they have very talented players, and they can definitely bring up some nice, interesting play.
Absolutely it is. So, yeah, bot lane heavy, we're imagining Kalem, Shipbex, two of the juggernauts of this league in the AD carry role, but don't be trying to over-index towards it. But I think this is the perfect time to slide on over to, we have the characters, now we need to set the scene. What is at stake here for Underworld Empire, for connecting esports down here in this lower bracket? And what that will end up being is everything and more here. We see down in the lower bracket, Underworld Empire starting it off. Just, they have no more second chances. They have no more get out of jail free cards, no more, oops, one not one back, no mulligans. If you lose, you are out, and with connecting esports falling to Reef Tsunami, they are now in the same boat of, you lose here, and your season comes to a close, just a hair short of the finish line.
Yeah, exactly. As you can see here, Underworld Empire, I think they got third seed in the group stages as well. So they started off in the lower bracket compared to what's called CE here. And you can see as well that Underworld Empire, they 2-1, 2-0, they're getting better. And if you're playing on already the edge of defeat, right? If the edge of your tournament career, then it might be also a bit more comfortable to play in this situation. If you look at connecting esports, you're gonna see that they started off playing versus Reef Tsunami. You go into that game with a different mindset. You have a Joe out of a free card. You have this opportunity to fall back if it goes wrong, to just wait a couple of days and then try again. But now that everything is on the line, there's only one winner. One winner that takes all and goes to the next round. And the other person or the other team, they're not going to get anything. They just fall out. The only thing that they have is a nice 2-0 defeat or 2-1 defeat in their history of Cobalt Wins League. And they can try again next season.
Yep.
So yeah, stakes are high.
Stakes are absolutely high, and credit to the teams for even being able to make it here all the way into the third round of these playoffs. This is no joke. They've been able to push a long way, but the inverse of that is the further you push into the tournament and the longer your tournament run goes into this playoff set, the stiffer and harder the competition gets. They're on a collision course with either Poly or the aforementioned Reef Tsunami, so connecting esports maybe even has a little bit more to play of, trying to get some revenge, just as you mentioned.
Exactly. Well, these two teams, connecting esports, going through a lot. They rebranded, and they have also Underworld Empire completely swapping out their top side. These two teams, I hope they are able to focus on this match, because, oh man, if I have to deal with all of that going on in the back, I hope they have good management, but I wouldn't be able to deal with it. I'm already struggling sometimes with when Logic is asking me to cast on days like this, if I can have enough time. See, I'm really curious to see if Underworld Empire got enough practice in. I heard from some rumors that they do play together with this roster in a different league. But yeah, this is the Master League, right? Cobalt Wins League is the elite version of all the other leagues. So if they're gonna play and show off somewhere, this is the place to be, and this is the day to be.
Absolutely. This is the platform that everyone wants to pop off on. This is the hypest crowds, the greatest production, and obviously the most talented casters, bringing you some excellent gameplay here. But yeah, I think that's just going to about do it for the sum up, or everybody's pretty warm and ready to go. Is there anything that you really want to, get out your crystal ball here, Beetle? Is there
I'm going to get out your crystal ball.
Anything that you're really expecting in terms of, the blind shot in the dark for a champion pick? Is there anything that you're really... You mentioned the Lilia top, which is, I'm going to be honest, way too dank for me. But is there anything that you want to kind of call out?
I just want to defend myself real quick. I am from the Netherlands, and today is King's Day. Today is the day to be dank, if any day.
Oh, I see. See
if it was last week, exactly 7 days ago, we could have had a different time of dank. But let's just try to stick it to a little bit more sensible picks. I think seeing like how these teams play, right? They play through the bot side mostly. And what do you do when you play through the bot side? What do you pick when you play through a bot side, Sandbag?
What do we pick when we're playing through bot side? We can either... there's one of two routes, right? You can obviously go with the hyper carry. Jinx has been a menace in the or like just these late game team
Exactly.
fights, dropping those Crockets on everybody, your Zeris, you have the hyper carry. But the other little wrinkle, if you have a jungler perma sitting in your tri-brush, if you have constant pressure from your mid laners pushing and roaming, you can also see some of the old school like Lucian Nami perhaps. I know that's something that these bot lanes have been brought out, and try and just, put a Draven in there, put a Lucian in there, try and go 15-0 in the laning phase, and you never have to team fight if they are just gray screens. Just
I
slam
think you
them
hit
in
the nail
lane.
on the head there. If you have this jungler sitting there all the time, if you have this mid lane also being able to roam in any moment, you're gonna have supportive picks in that sense, right? You're gonna have a jungler like a Nunu that just runs at you the entire time. A Zek that jumps from like 20,000 kilometers away. You have that opportunity, but you also need support in order to pull the strategy off. And that's also where the mid lane is going to be very important. I think, knowing the history of these two teams, that Connecting Esports does have a little bit more in their playbook when it comes to playing around this style. You have Shipex always being able to ask for those resources, but also to deliver with those resources. I think the last couple of games that we've seen from them, it was every single time the Tristana just popping off. Zaya sadly being banned away every single game, I think. So it's also important to see if that comes through. But yeah, if a plat player like you, Sandbag, can figure this out, I think it's very easy for teams to figure this out.
Okay. There's no need to. You know what? You can dunk on me all you want, but you give me 10 minutes. I'll get my co-caster in here. I'll get the 6 Zath on you, and you as a plebeian diamond player, I go get my master's big brother to come sort you out here. Playing. This man hits diamond, thinks he's all that.
Okay, no, I just want to apologize because I just got DM'd my screenshot, and in this screenshot, so I am apparently plat 4, so. I guess I have decayed over time. No, but it's I take everything back. You deserve you deserve your credit. But you know who else deserves the credit is these two teams. And let's see actually if we can hop into pick ban phase, because I think everybody is already ready.
Absolutely. I mean, the scene is set, the characters are introduced. It's just a matter of the show going live here, so we're gonna be trying to get ourselves locked and loaded for that in just one moment. But yeah, no, just to tail off from the end of that point here, there's a reason why I'm on play-by-play. Okay, I've never claimed to be the smart one of any pairing. That's why we've reeled you out here in your old geriatric age to try and guide us through it. So how about you do what you're being paid for here, Beetle, and guide us through this champion select.
Definitely getting paid here, paid with love from everybody that I'm finally back again. You know what? I'm gonna put away my cane as well. I don't need my cane as well. I'm actually standing on both of my feet right now.
Oh, okay.
Just like how, wow, I see already Connecting Esports doesn't want to have this supporter jungler in there. Getting out the Sejuani, now also the Lulu ban. 2 bot lane bans already on the supports. Are we gonna see a Zaya ban here as well? That's the question. We do see the Tristana being taken away from Shipex. Just like I mentioned before, we're going to have very, very heavy contesting on the bot side on what picks are going to be available. Maybe the Lucianami, like you said. Who knows?
Could definitely be here. But yeah, respect already being paid over the Tristana. I expect to see one more marksman, and there it is with the Jinx that we mentioned. I mean, if you've played any solo queue in the last 3 to 5 business years, you have been slammed by a Jinx at some point.
True. Now we do see the new character. I keep forgetting her name. The Avatar character. Nyla. I need to learn. Nila. It's really hard to pronounce these names these days, I think they're running out of characters to put behind each other.
They just slamming a couple of letters together, but instead it's going to be the Zeri following up with an immediate Sivir Yumi. Okay, what are your thoughts on that one in the answer into the Zeri?
Well, honestly, the Yumi, it has always worked. Even after the changes that they have made, because Yumi definitely got drastically changed after Worlds, after the performance that we saw there. Sivir, always a very solid pick, especially against a nice Zeri pick, because Zeri, she's very very obvious with the abilities that she uses. If she tries to use a Q against the wall, you can just walk into that as free mana. You're never going to worry about getting trolled by some abilities. Now we do see a new pick here that we haven't seen, I think, in the league.
With the Melio getting locked up here.
That is quite... That is quite interesting. Do they have enough time to practice a pick like this? I've not seen Emilio yet in the play here in Cobalt Wins League. I'm very curious as to what this does.
Most to be fair to the Wins League, with the last series that I was a part of, they did crank out the Melio as an answer to the Maokai, because you have an AoE cleanse on that ultimate. So when you're getting locked down by these big AoE like ultimate abilities, Melio can kind of just say no and zip on out of here. So while there's not that immediate level of CC, it has been practiced. It's been out long enough that I've seen some pretty competent support players.
So that's also why I'm very curious to why would you pick Emilio here if you're playing versus a Sivir. Sivir is quite a static AD carry. She doesn't have that much CC. She doesn't have any CC actually. And then also at the Yumi side, you know, Yumi, the only thing her ultimate after 3 seconds of getting hit by it, that's when you get stunned. So Melio not getting a lot of, I guess, opportunity to shine here right now. But we do see the Vi on the other side, and then we see also the Galio. This is exactly what we said before, right? You're going to have the supportive roaming potential in the mid lane to try to play for the bot side. I take everything back. We have a Lissandra. We're gonna dive on the bot side a lot.
We are going to be full committing, setting Azari up for success. Shoutouts to Fiddlesticks hover. I normally don't acknowledge hovers because I've been baited too many times, but both of these teams have been talking about, there it is again, a little bit of behind the curtain knowledge. Both of these teams have been trying to scrim Fiddlesticks support and have been, we're going to politely call it griefing. Lots of dying on the Fiddlestick support, so both of these teams acknowledging it, making a bit of camaraderie between the two teams. Underworld Empire connecting esports. There's definitely some high spirits, and everyone's ready to go here for game 1 in good shape.
I'm hastily making notes. No Fiddlesticks support. Okay, I know what to play tonight.
Okay.
Now we do see the Singed versus Gnar on the top side. Are we gonna see some proxy going on? Burger Flipper 12? Is he gonna bring something new here to the match? I've not seen this before.
Yeah, it's once again the most recent. If you're turning in, the last series that we had a Singed answer into, I believe it was the Maokai that we had mentioned, and he kind of just ran around and made sure that life was miserable for the AD carry. You know, you drop the grounded on her feet, she can't dash anymore, and that's half of her safety gone. No pentakills for you if you can't dash, and then you get clicked on by the Vi ult, and then you die. So, lots of outplaying it.
Do you know if Melio actually is able to get around the grounded effect from Singed W?
He is not.
So, right?
He is not.
It's actually really smart. It's really smart actually from this pick, because Singed, his CC, right? It's instant, and you have also a permanent CC where it's like ticks over and over again. Melio can get anything off here if you look at the comp, apart from the Ari charm maybe. But also Vi ultimate still chases you. You can CC everything you want, but you're still gonna get knocked up. You're still gonna get the Vi doing a weird backflip next to you in case you do CC it, which immediately results in the potential of getting just queued after. So this Zeri is not gonna have a good time versus this comp.
Not at all. I will say, if there was anyone in the league I would trust to play Zeri, it is ShipX. They have had some pop-off moments on that champion, and just a little bit of nod back to a previous series, they have the Gnar on their team, so there is going to be no more. We had a bit of an incident, Beetle, while you were on hiatus. They had a Mega Gnar on the enemy team on their team, pardon me, that kind of Gnar ulted 4 people on top of the Zeri when she didn't have dash available. He went for the stun and missed the wall, and then all of a sudden there was a Gragas Maokai directly on top of the AD carry. So we're gonna be trying to avoid that kind of nonsense. The grounded is already gonna be enough of a problem, but gonna be trying to clean that one up in the top lane. So maybe a little bit more practice with a similar comp that they've run before.
Well, honestly, if that happens to me, I know how to rage type in chat. But I think if you look at the Lux Gnar in OPGG, I think my man is experienced enough to not do this kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Also, the CC setup that you have here, you know, the attack, how the fights are gonna go, I think as well. If I look at connecting esports, Wukong is really good at setting up fights, right? And then you have Lissandra doing the exact same thing, like dashing forward with her claw, making sure that the Prisman goes on someone, and you just like start blowing up whoever you want, because there's no way to getting out of this CC chain. Once you get hit by one thing, I hope also that Caleb, maybe is he gonna switch to cleanse? No, right? No, he didn't pick cleanse. He picked the ghost. He's daring.
Yeah, it's brave for sure.
It's very brave. But you're gonna have this really, really hard lockdown, right, in fights. And this is exactly where Zeri excels. This is exactly the comp as well that you want to have Shipex playing around, because he's so free to do whatever he wants. It's really hard to get past this. Maybe the Singed will get on top of him, but will he have enough damage? Will he be able to go into that whole backline and destroy everybody?
But we will absolutely be finding out. Don't go anywhere, and we will see you guys after the break. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Summoner's Rift. We got game 1 of Connecting Esports taking on Underworld Empire. And now that we've had a moment to kind of have a little pick over this, Mr. Beetle, do we have any further thoughts? Anything that really sticks out to you as we have a bit of a 5-point start, no silly invades, nobody throwing the game level 1?
Okay, so the whole narrative, right, the people are saying right now is I'm getting out of my wheelchair. I threw away the walking stick. I'm putting on my Nikes just like the Singed is doing. Look at this start. He started boots. I think he's gonna have a good fun time on the top side. As you see, you vibe maybe. looking for some early plays. He did not see him.
That's
This
going to be a
might
good
a
amount of
flash.
damage here. It's probably going to be a summoner spell. The auto is not going to be able to quite beat enough. Airy proc will live. And Vi losing the summoner spell, but living with 12 HP. And yeah, that's not the start that you want, but honestly could have been a lot worse here.
I guess if I could use my healthcare because I'm walking around now. Man, that was scary. Like if you go this early without your flash, especially if you have this pretty heavy jungle invade potential. And we're gonna see maybe a red start from the top side. Yeah, exactly. They're gonna path towards bot side. Now, why would people go and path from top to bot? You're gonna look for that dive. You're gonna look for that early push and early scuttle crab opportunity. So, will she be able to live without this flash? I don't know.
But
What do you
you're
think,
going to be
Sebek?
losing so much pressure either way. Like, sure, yeah, if you're able to live, that's great, but you're going to be A, starting leashless, B, starting late, and C, in danger of the monkey just flashing on top of you and bonking you over the head. And you don't have any other tools to remove yourself from the situation. It might get a
Exactly.
little bit dicey here on that crab fight.
Yeah, and we see as well what we discussed during Champ Select. You're gonna have this mid lane immediately looking for the push. Lissandra having much more priority over Ari with that Q. Um, it's really crazy actually how at the same time straightforward these teams are playing, but hopefully still are able to bring out some nice spiciness into the fight. As you see here, a little bit of trading happening between Gnar and Singed. Now I do want to talk about Gnar versus Singed because Singed can get poked around, but once he
Yeah.
gets on top of you, especially with this early boot start, I hope he's gonna finish tier 2 boots maybe at the first back, or he's gonna buy a tier, one of the two. He's actually getting a cropping top. It's also fine. Once Singed does get on top of you, when you're in mini form after you get that came out of Meganar. Oh, this is something happening here.
There's the invade that we were saying, just going to be diving into the enemy jungle. Wing forward is this Wukong, and with no flash to follow it up, giving one more bonk, stacking the Conqueror is Mr. Bakal. And able to just kind of bully it out. Metaslave jungler, not quite afraid, not quite cowed, queuing back in to get that little bit of blast damage shield, but trading all the way across the map. Ghost is popped here, as we have fighting in the mid lane. Flashing away is this Ahri down in the bot lane. Calum is going to have to spend his Ghost, and Iron 5 Baboon losing his flash as well, so two tidy little plays here for Connecting Esports, trying to continue to press their lead.
Exactly what we saw as well. By does respect here the Wukong by clearing immediately towards the blue after the camp. We're gonna see a little bit of scrappiness happening as well. Wukong trying to invade here, but at the same time there's nothing to invade apart from the Krugs. So I'm really curious to see like why they are not choosing to go for back strategies immediately. Maybe they're setting up something for early on bot side as we see a lot of vision. Oh no, we see the Vi backing here. So it's good, but she is gonna lose here the Krugs, right? Wukong did win out that opportunity, the little skirmish in the bot side jungle. And that's exactly where you're gonna get punished immediately for not having your flash, right? Oh man.
Yeah, you're not going to be able to use that to kind of ensure some safety, and mainly you can trade a little bit more aggressively. You have to immediately respect, as Ari does finish her
I'm
back.
smiling so much. This cinch is making me happy.
He's proxying, he's got his C-pods ticking, he's got the time of his life just zooming around. Because as soon as that jungler shows on vision, you're able to just kind of run around and have the time of your life. As Vi, sitting down here in the bot lane, is going to be setting something up. Still no flash available, so it's not likely going to amount to a kill. Wave is pushing away, face checking it,
Zipex?
charging up the Q. She's going to be going here, but she'll just ghost herself and turn this one around immediately. 3 versus 2, and Shipex likes his chances. Getting the exhaust out, trading it for both sides. Monkey is in the bot lane to reinforce it, but just going to be a trade of summoners as the Singed does execute on the back of it. We're focusing down here in the bot lane, and Singed does what Singed do up here in the top lane.
Well, you know, if you can't lane, you just proxy, I guess. But we do see the tier 2. This is exactly what we also said here, right? We do want to see this Singed being able to be super fast in lane already and trying to get this skirmish going on with the Gnar, because Gnar can escape quite easily if you don't have the tier 2 boost.
Yep, he's going to be able to proc that hyper and just zoom on out of there with the extra move speed. But I will say, what are we thinking about the immediate executioner start here for Metaslave Jungler?
Oh, honestly, you know, it makes somewhat sense. It doesn't make a whole lot of sense. It makes somewhat sense because you would go executionist if you are going to invade quite early on, right? Because
Right.
you want to get the reduced healing of the smite. It does get reduced healed by the grievous wounds, which is really nice. But you're not in a position right now to invade. You're not in a position right now to win these fights. And that can also be a little bit because Wukong is just really good at skirmishing in these situations. I would have
Right.
hoped that maybe went for like an earlier boots, or you're gonna go for the Sheen, just like how the Wukong goes. So you can clear your jungle faster and get to that level 6 point, because that's when you're gonna win those bot lane fights. Because we see
That's
Dragon here being taken.
That's when you can start the immediate lockdown, getting that cease and desist dropped on top of an AD carry. No ghost, but still flash available until that tool is available for this Vi. Ship X is honestly not going to be in any danger whatsoever.
Yeah, exactly. Shipex is having actually a lot of fun here with the 10 CS lead already, with the wave pushing towards the Sivir. Now, talk a little bit about Shipex.
We might have to hold that for just a moment as they're going for a blue buff, but Vi is caught a little bit far from home. She does have flash, but she never gets a chance to press it as first blood going over to Mr. Bacal as the Vi gets a little bit too big for her boots, and yeah, Executioner Colin didn't do a whole lot for you there, as ulting plus a little bit of extra move speed is the singe, but it's a singe. I don't know why I'm trying to hold on to this. It's not going to amount to anything.
Well, it does bring Singe low enough. You do see he actually is walking around with the blue buff here. He did get the blue buff, so also there was a missed smite here from Vi.
Oh, it
Maybe
was.
they're gonna look for the dive here, actually. Oh, you see a flash 4?
Oh, this just silliness in the top lane. Any lane Singed is in just kind of deteriorates to madness. Getting the flash out of Luke as Wing forward. She does have the claw, but Spear Rush is going to be plenty. Cleansing it out is this mid laner. And in the middle of 3 people, Ari's still the one getting the Summoner Spell trade. Baiting is the Singed. He does get the grounded. Gnar is caught. Alley-oop into the Vi. Trades it out anyway, though, as Luke is able to grab that one up and live for it. Outplay 2 versus 1. Gnar is feeling good up here in the top lane.
Oh, this is the worst possible thing to happen, because you do lose the blue buff now, but you also lose the next wave, like the nice wave state that you had as Singed. This is actually really annoying. We do see a Vi trying to pick up the Herald. This is not something I would recommend, especially because you are in contesting right now for your blue buff, right? Wukong is already on the bot side clearing his jungle. You know that he cleared out this blue buff because you cleared out the blue buff. So will he be on time actually for the potential 4v4 that's going to happen on bot side now that Wukong is so much earlier on the bot side than Vi is?
Yeah, it's just looking like just a really brave stick. I don't know if it was necessarily good, but to be fair, I feel like Vi was feeling pressure to get something done. I'm already on the top lane. I already lost my top laner. I need to get something going, or it's just a ginormous waste of my time. So getting something for trouble picking up the eye.
As we see here, Bakoa is actually waiting here in the shadows. This is a lot of time that he wasted.
Ult is available. Cyclone 2, and she doesn't have that Spirit Rush. Force the flash away from the second charge of the Cyclone will pick it up. Singed is here for a bit of a flip underneath the tower if he can get the angle. And it's going to be a debate and a death anyways. Here's the ultimate. We're not going to be done quite yet. Exhaust popped here on the bot lane. Running away is the Sivir with all that extra move speed, trying to put the shots in. Lethal tempo is stacked. Second exhaust onto the Sivir, trading auto for auto, blow for blow. Both the ricochets are starting to really chunk through these health bars. She's going to be able to fall first. The Sivir seems to be able to one out of the flash, but she will live as every single spell but Wiggy's flash will be expended, and no deaths will occur in the bot lane.
Well, we're not done yet. They're still pushing out the wave. Are they looking for a dive?
Still pushing out the wave here, but looking here at the top lane, Gnar will be cease and desisted. He doesn't have that ultimate available to him, and in mini Gnar, he will just get chunked, finally getting that Fury to be able to turn back into Mega and dissuade a dive. But yeah, these are the fireworks we were waiting for. We were waiting for those level 6 marks, and this teams are delivering.
Well, that's actually regroup actually from all these situations that
Might not be
happen.
able to even regroup here as the dive's coming through. TP to reinforce it. Able to eat up that first bonk with the spell shield is this Ziver. And trying to collapse onto the Wukong. Does eat the charm for here. Jungler is Tigra Tigus. But will have to try and sacrifice themselves going into the Glacial Prison. Shipex here to reinforce it. Can you get him out? The W from the Melio is going to be enough so far. First one to fall is this Shipex. Zeri will fall. Kalem to fall. 80 carry on both sides. Taking the claw out as Mr. Bakal. Wukong will also die. And one more rush forwards. Zeri, can she land the skill shot? Can we get a Vault Breaker? Can we get something going? But Blast Cone will deliver them to safety, and with no ultimate on the Vi, it is going to be a limp away from the mid laner of Connecting Esports and equalizing this one out 4-4. These teams are going hammer and tongs here in the bot lane.
Man, that was not what you want to have going on here, especially if you're already a little bit ahead on the jungle. Like, it just went from good to bad to disaster. As we see here, the fight, you see here there was a little bit of desync going on and a miscommunication from the Lissandra as well, as Mikael Bakal is looking for, like, trying to re-engage, but you see the Vi, they don't expect the Vi to be here already, full HP, full items, clearing up everybody, and she's back into the game.
Is indeed. Losing the flash early on seems to have hardly slowed her progress here. Able to get a little bit of CS lead up that 10 CS mark, but Sivir ultimate is popped. Singe here on the flank does have the ghost clawing away. Is this Lissandra, but the ult will still connect from the Vi. You're gonna have to try and dip away as best you possibly can. Blue team slaying the dragon. What's the fight gonna look like on the back of it? Wukong is gonna be in the middle of 4 people and fall for it. Popping up a couple. Vi is gonna be traded this one out as jungle for jungle. Singed in the middle of 4 people is gonna live his way through this.
No way.
Spreading poison like crazy, and the ultimate providing the sustain he needs as Burger Flipper ends up swinging that fight into the side of the red team's favor. So objective lost, but team fight won.
Oh man, I just realized how good it is if you have the Silver ultimate together with the Singe just sprinting about everybody. Oh my god, he was so fast. It was like little Usain Bolt running around League of Legends Rift. As you see here, look at the Singe having a great angle here on this fight. And there you have the Vi. You see, Milio can't actually do anything to save the Sandra here. And then you have this fight. Re-engage coming out from Wukong. But it's just not enough. They're too far behind. And there's too many stats going on the side of Connecting Esports.
That's it's like tilter, honestly.
Underworld
Esports.
Empire, having already so many stats, they bought in that fight. They had the items advantage. But Connecting Esports still chose the fight. They started the dragon, and that dragon is still taken. So even though they lost the fight, objective-wise, they're still coming out ahead in this one. But how much of the objectives are gonna help you if you're gonna have right now the Gnar, for example, killing your Singed?
Yeah, that's just a tidy little chase down here. Burger Flipper getting a little bit too brave here, forcing the ultimate is this Ahri, as Tigris is just going to be trying to get away with the help of their support. Trying to go for a little bit more, does still have 2 charges of Spirit Rush, does Iron 5 Baboon, but yeah, it's just going to be a little bit of an awkward moment up in the top lane as Singed falls and gives quite a bit of gold back over to the Gnar.
Right, that's what you have. That's what happens, right? If you're gonna help your bot side in your mid jungle as a top laner, you're gonna fall behind on that CS. And as we see here now as well, maybe re-engage happening on mid lane.
2 flashes have already been expended here. Going into the Everfrost is able to buy the space required, and Vi here to cover the retreat as the Baboon will live. And I'm really respecting these 2 teams constantly pressing each other, constantly trying to get every single little inch, especially in game 1. That is what we love to see here. These trades of CCs are so silly up in the top lane, able to get the flip underneath the turret out of the Gnar. It's like both of these players have picked each other up and thrown each other at the same time. So many times trading that CC. It's just singed lanes, man. You can't hate it.
Well, I guess the Singe is not shaken in this one. He's a little bit stirred, but he can still walk it out.
Oh no, Vi is gonna face check into the waiting arms of 2. Gnar able to get the hop, cease and desist, changes nothing. And now, what can Singe possibly get on the tail end of this? Rule 1 of League, what is it, Beetle?
Don't chase Singe. Don't chase the Singe. Even though he might be crippled, he doesn't have a lot of farm, he doesn't have a lot of boots or something, don't chase him. It's not worth your time.
It is never worth your time to chase the Singed. And to be fair, yeah, crippled would be a bit of an exaggeration, in my opinion, considering he's already got the mnemonic, he's already got the boots too.
Yeah.
He's got plenty of punch in his own right here, this Burger Flipper.
Definitely, Burger Flipper is pulling his weight in these team fights. And that's all you need to do, right? As Singed, you just need to run forward and get that one fling or that one ground on the person that is carrying. And that is Shipex, right? You don't want to have Shipex being able to escape. And we see it as well in Shipex's stats. 1-2-1. He is not getting the things that he wants to get out. He is actually forced to now also buy items that are defensive instead of aggressive. It's going a little bit in the wrong way for that connecting esports. Though, I do think that looking at his Gnar, how he is performing on the top side, there might be definitely an opportunity to also look for the carry from the Gnar side. Looking for that split push potential. As you see here, 2k gold difference between Gnar and Singed. How crazy is that? If we're only 16 minutes in, that you're gonna have a 2k difference. Which is almost like, it's a 2/3 of an item, right?
Yeah. It is indeed, and you can see it reflected in his items, having that Warden Mail, having that Kindle Gem, and the Caulfields on top of his Mythic, where he is very paid here. A little bit of an awkward situation for the Baboon, as Everfrost will connect. The CC chain is enormous, but the Charm will follow it up. Melio does have some reinforcements to able to get Tigris out, as Lissandra will slip away, but constantly trying to force resources out of each other. Singed is TPing. We got ourselves a bit of a setup for a dragon fight. What is this looking like? Diving forwards, play Trickster onto this AD carry, and trying to force the Vi away. It's a little bit of split line. Singed is in the middle of 4 people. Will he be burnt down? Popping that ultimate, popping that ghost as the Zeri's here to try and get as much CC as possible. Fight is a little bit split here, waiting for that Mega Gnar. Everyone's just kind of scrapping it out. First one to fall is going to be this mid lane. Lissandra will fall, re-engage, 4 versus 5. What's it going to look like here? Keeping your eyes on these junglers. The dragon is surplus 2 requirements as Mr. Bakal falls as well. 3 versus 5. All eyes on Shipex. Liking his chances, flashing forward away from the Charm, able to kite out the Singed, will be flipped. Okay, Burger Flipper is able to cut the montage music out from under him. Valiant effort out of Shipex, but no more, says Singed. Red team able to pick up a 3-4-2 on the tail end of it, and as a result, Dragon will belong to them.
Man, did you see Caleb and Shipex just both being this artillery from the back, just hitting everybody that's closest, and just doing so much AoE damage? Sivir we're doing with the W, right? Caleb having the ricochet on every single person, and then you have also Shipex doing the AoE damage with her Q. Man, these two carries, they're clashing so hard. They have so many people dancing around them. I think I wouldn't be able to play this game anymore. This is too high level for me.
Yeah, I will say, honestly, even in terms of just trying to play-by-play this, you know, I consider myself a respectable play-by-play. When there's 19 different particles, 15 different, like, spells going off at the same time, and the frickin' Singed Usain bolting around at the speed of sound, repositioning everybody, trying to keep the thread of who's winning or losing is just miserable. Because Burger Flipper, at any moment, can either int or pop off. So I can't even be like, yeah, this fight's looking pretty good, or this fight looks terrible. Because 15 HP on a Singed is, like, night and day difference in a team fight. So keep your eyes on Burger Flipper.
The more I'm watching this match, the more I feel old. I'm gonna grab my cane back. I'm gonna go to retire soon after this.
These players have gotten to this point in the tournament for a reason. Shipex, Calum, these junglers setting them up for success. The top laner, yeah, Luke popping off, getting the lane lead, but Burger Flipper finding the spells. Everyone rising to the occasion here, and all of this, every single play as Spirit Rush once again forced. This Ari just as is spending this on cooldown. But while we have a moment, Herald, dashing forwards, you don't have a moment. Everfrost onto the Zeri. Terror will be destroyed by Shelly. They're going to be able to pop the eye here, looking for a little bit more here. Cease and desist onto the Zeri. They're able to get the first lockdown. Ultimate is committed here, but can the Zeri live? Are you able to one-tap her? She will fall. Mid laner will be traded immediately. Baboon will also be, but the 80 carry of Calum is just going to go to town on them. 3-man slam here for the Gnar, but you do not have the follow-up. You have no punch. And as a result, when one AD carry falls, the other one will rise as Kayla mops him up 4 for 2 and running it
Wow.
down mid lane.
I just want to highlight that one flash from Baboon forward, even though he had no Spirit Charm anymore, he still spat in the face of death, and he just went for that flash charm, completely winning that fight, actually. If we look at the replay here, we're going to see as well, look at that flash, trying to layer the CC, and everybody turns on Baboon. But you see, after that fight, everybody turned to Baboon. Okay, Baboon's dead. What now, you know?
Yeah.
And you see the individual potential of these champions. Vi winning out the 1v1. You see here Sivir as well, technically winning the 2v1 because Yumi is on him. But, you know, you see, like, the scrappiness after the first play has happened is really quick with this team because it's so chaotic with these
Scrappiness
champions.
is absolutely the word. We're gonna have a bit of chase down here. Vi on slivers of HP, trying to vault breaker her way away, but the mid is also under fire. Shutdown going over to Lissandra as a bit of a misstep here for Underworld Empire. Metaslave jungler will fall, and with the Baron alive, no smite available, it's gonna have to be a bit of a Baron dance here. Steel is not available. They do not have that tool to them. They don't have any spell books, so they're gonna have to just straight up fight it. You're gonna have to just try and force them off it. So what can you possibly do? 5k on the Baron. Singe is getting a little bit of work done. Poison ticking here by Eyes on the Zeri. 5 versus 3 and immediately gonna be jumped on. There's no way Sivir's able to fight her way out of this corner. And revenge here for Shipex, dashing forwards and claiming the life of the other AD carry. A valiant effort here from Underworld Empire, but outnumbered means outgunned, and blue team setting their sights on the Baron. Metaslave jungler is gonna have to go for some heroics. 6k on it. They don't have any tools to keep him out. They will be able to get a little bit of vision with that pink ward. They know it's on 4k HP. Someone has to keep this Vi out. Do not give the burger flip. Able to hold damage off, immediately burn it down. 2k on the Vi. She's gonna be trying to burn it down herself, flipping her away, and will kill her before it eventually drops below threshold. Very, very disciplined play here from Connecting Esports, taking damage off the Baron, turning on the Vi, dealing with the threat, and then claiming their prize afterwards. These teams are a cut above the rest here, Beetle.
Oh man, I can imagine Shipex being in the microphone. Wait. Let her dash it, wait. But this is especially how they handled this so calmly. This is the experience coming out from Connecting Esports over Underworld Empire. Underworld Empire being in an unfavorable situation where Metaslave jungler actually got caught out, right? And then you're gonna have this 45. You have to contest. You have to fight off the Baron. But Connecting Esports, they waited, they baited, and they conquered. And that's exactly what you want to do as Connecting Esports. When you have this one small opportunity, you turn it into a very big lead. As we see here, the gold swing also already happening. 2k gold or 3k gold right after the Baron. Another dragon. It's going really well for Connecting Esports.
It is, and the last thing that I want to point you to is this Zeri itemization. We are coming online here. You said the AoE was already pretty nasty out of that AoE. You know, the Q spreading to other people. Now we got our Runans on top of it. Our bounces are bouncing here for Shipex. So how do you even try and pilot this for Underworld Empire?
Yeah, we see as well for Metaslave jungler, right? I'm just going to point to him really quickly because he's the answer to fighting the Zeri. He's the person that can get close to the Zeri. And that's also the itemization that he took. Once you have popped the ult, it's important for you to be able to stick on the Zeri for a long time so your team can follow up. And that's also the itemization that he went for. He went for the quite tanky build on Vi. He didn't go for the damage just like how Wukong did. Like Bakao has more opportunity to build damage. But we're going to see if the team can actually follow up in that situation. Because Zeri is quite tanky. You do have the Emilio still defending a lot.
On cue here, Vi is able to see some assists. She's been pulled a long way from home, and blocking up that Vault Breaker means you're going to have to get a bit of a disengage. She will fall for it. She took a shot at Shipex and was unsuccessful, and now without that massive spell available, it's likely just going to be a uncontested Zeri putting the shots into the mid wave, putting the shots into the turret, and wearing purple. Immensely favored here for the next 25 seconds.
You can think that it might have been close, but if you look as well at the summoner spells for the bot side, there's still an exhaust available. Shipex still has his flash. And that's only thanks to Luke being in front of the face of the enemy team, as we see him jumping forward
They're
here
going
as
to be
well.
holding the line as best they possibly can. Getting a bit of a flip is this Singe, locking them down underneath the turret into the Cyclone. The Zeri will be able to flash forward and pick that one up. No fear, rampaging forwards. Vi has turned to reinforce it, flashing away, and the charm will not connect. And as a result, we'll be able to continue duking it out. Final shots falling, and she will not fall. They have no damage. They have no threat. Shipex will continue to just put shot after shot after shot into the team of Underworld Empire, and every single member of this blue team needs to honor their support. Wiggy's putting shield after heal after shield into Shipex, keeping him up and firing. And we're gonna need another look at that one and this glorious display of bot lane here.
Shipex, double digit. He could have recalled here as well. No, he chose to go forward. He chose to still go into it. And then he jumps out, but he still fights. He doesn't want to give up. And that's honestly the quality of Shipex. That's why you want to ban this guy out, because if you give him something like Zeri, give him his comfort, he can turn 100 HP into a kill. I don't know how this man did it. It was literal magic, but he did it.
I'll tell you how he did it, and it looked a little bit like a Melio diff. Yeah, Shipex, all the glory, all the hype, piloting it to perfection, never say die attitude. But I'm watching, as an observer, the support player flashing in, no hesitation. You're in, I got you, bud. Flashing in, exhausting the damage dealer, providing the setup, and that is lovely, lovely like synergy and what you want out of your bot lane. Like, yeah, Shipex is a psycho. He will always take every single fight and push it to the absolute max, but to have a player who can follow you up, provide it with you, and I have just on that same page. I mean, I'm geeking out a little bit, Beetle. It's always exciting to see here. This is what we love in the Cobalt Wins League.
It's not just like the follow-up. If you look as well at the vision score, you're gonna see as well that Wiggy is doing work. He is on 65 vision score. If you can switch to the vision real quick, you're gonna see how much vision actually is on the side of connecting esports. Yeah, as we see as well, like, look at the amount of wards already being prepped for Dragon. Dragon is happening in 30 seconds, but they are ready for fight, right? They're ready for this engage. And if they are not ready for this engage, you're not gonna have the opportunity to shine as a team. The other side, Yumi can't go alone.
Vi is just going to be immediately jumped on and shut down as Shipex goes godlike, popping the ultimate, going to have a bit of a chase down here. Trying to kite it out is Calum, and able to hit only onto this mid laner, forcing the golden out of him. Calum is going to be your only source of damage, honestly. Keeping your eyes on him, trying to get that lethal tempo stack. Charm will be able to connect here as Shipex is down, and as a result, Calum's going to have to take over this fight here. Trying to step away from the wall, is exhausted, but it does not matter, as without the Zeri to hold him down, it will be a revenge in the bot lane as Calum mops him up, claiming up this dragon if Luke has nothing to say about it, and putting themselves in a bit of a good situation here.
That was so good. They had the kill on the Vi, but they decided to overchase a little bit, and then Calum gets the opportunity here.
Not to be outdone by his counterpart, able to mop up the smite of connecting esports, and these teams are going to town on one another. I said on the dragon.
Wow, that was it was kind of crazy, because at the same time connecting esports, they did the right play. They put wards down, they got the death push, they killed the Vi, and then they overchased, and they just didn't have the resources anymore to kill Calum. And once Calum got the kill on Tigra, that's exactly where you're gonna see the pop-off happening. There's nothing to stop Calum anymore.
Blue team is just going to be starting the... Sorry, I hate to cut you off, but they're just immediately going to be back into action. Oy, 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 okay, calling it off. Apologies, I jumped the gun. I got a little bit excited here as Vi sails over the wall.
Oh, I'm sweating as well. Don't worry, don't worry.
Yeah, you can feel it, right? Even up here in the booth, you can feel it that these teams are just duking it out, hammer and tongs, two very equally matched. And like, look, 30 minutes into the game, we've only managed to separate them by 4 kills here. So, yeah, this is everything we could hope for and more.
But it's especially also for the late game opportunity, right? The more tankiness the people are going to get, the less you can actually blow people up. And that's also where Kalem is going to shine with his itemization. He does have that true damage over Jipex. Jipex does have a lot of AoE damage, but this Yumi combined with true damage from Sivir, that's just going to be a crazy amount of damage that you just cannot compete with. As we see, I think another little skirmish going to happen. Everybody's gathering.
A little bit of a skirmish, but immediately going to be jumped on here as the team fight is going to be kicked off. Singe popping this ultimate. What's this fight going to look like? Keeping your eyes on these two damage dealers. On one side, we have Kalem, who's able to knock down the Wukong first and foremost. And with Lissandra going golden, it's looking like the Sivir is going to be the king of this fight. Dashing forward, Shipex kiting it out with more shields, more heals. Last auto is going to be able to do it and will not fell the Vi. And with the rampaging forwards AD carry, right as you mentioned it, the true damage difference as Sivir is able to run them down, and Singed is a Singed. He will somehow get himself killed on the tail end of the fight, but yeah, it's still red team in a bit of a dire strait here. Vi is dangerously low, bit of a wall up here. Okay, is able to get the smite down on this Baron. And with no more damage, it's just going to be the AD carry putting shots into a tank. One more boulder toss, not going to be able to come through. And somehow, Metaslated Jungler is going to be able to dip on out. Dipping away from it. Able to get a blast shield. We're playing with vision here. Oh, it's a little bit of footsies. Able to connect the Vault Breaker and shut down going over to the Vi. Oh, they did not have a ward. No pink was available for this top laner, and Luke will fall. So we're gonna have another look at this. Ay, ay, ay.
It's so sad that Luke didn't get the clutcher kick clutch here. But as we see here in the fight, Zeri is actually getting targeted really hard here, and she doesn't have a lot of escape opportunity. Strange being on top of her, and you see the damage output from Zeri compared to Kalem right now. Kalem is able to hit everybody. Zeri has nobody in front of her because the Gnar is walking away. The Gnar is chasing out, and you have the Zeri just instantly falling. I think there's a little bit of a miscommunication here. If the Gnar was in front of Zeri, it would have been a great choke. As we see another engage happening here. Wow,
we can't even replay in peace, Beetle. Like, we can't even take a look at the previous play, and all of a sudden Luke and Wukong are dead.
I'd rather have this than a sleep fest.
Honestly, absolutely. We're not going to be podcasting this up anytime soon. What can Shipex possibly do? Able to get the cease and desist onto the mid laner. Shipex is still free firing. Keeping your eyes on this Zeri. This is going to be the last holdout for the rest of Connecting Esports, but she's going to be charmed up and locked down going golden, but she has nothing left to offer as Underworld Empire in the outnumbered fight, wearing purple, are able to just bust down the door, put the shots into the inhib, and mop up game one in this series in a barn burner of a match. GG's 1-0 Underworld.
GG's, and we see Underworld Empire clutching out the game, even though being 3 dragons behind, they still got the opportunities. They still found the Baron plays. And wow, honestly, Kalem, props to you, man, for being able to find this Sivir itemization in the right moment. What a game. What a game.
Oy, you can say that again. Honestly, every single thing that we were hoping for, you know, no boring tank tops just beating on each other, but facilitators in the jungle, hyper carries in the AD carry role, supports on the Yumi and the Melio playing these enchanters, setting them up for success. Cresting 50k damage for both of these marksmen as the stats pop up in front of me. We got 55 onto the Sivir, we got 47 onto the Zeri, and all the way down to the half an hour mark, trading it back and forth all the way down the line. Yeah, I think you can say I'm satisfied with game one, Beetle.
For sure. Though, it was not just also the AD carries. We do have to give props to the supports. I think there was only one death coming out from the Yumi, and Melio also died once. But these two supports, man, they have been facilitating and saving their AD carries' asses so much to the point where you can have a Jipex diving between 2 turrets into the enemy base on 100 HP, on maybe even like 2 digits sometimes, and still surviving, getting a triple kill or quarter kill. It's really insane what these teams are capable of doing and the communication levels that these players are going through.
Absolute circus fighting, but yeah, as we're just going to have a moment to kind of sit in this, I will say we just got a little bit of a ding in from producer saying that Jonathan Isaac will be called off the bench here for Metaslave Jungler. So there's going to be a substitution. Underworld Empire electing to slide into a new jungler, having some time to prepare themselves, able to just have a nice little look, trying to get, trying to farm the enemy team for some information, pardon me, and then step in and really trying to hammer this one home. So yeah, there's even more spice here, apart from the absolutely fascinating game one.
Definitely. Now, I do wonder, though, are we going to see the same thing happening as well? Because we did see exactly what we planned, right? We saw that we're going to have two insane AD carries clashing it out on the bot side, having like these legit like anime fights, how they're hitting each other. like it felt like JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, honestly, how they were hitting each other. Shout out to the people who watch anime. I don't watch anime anymore, but still, it's a good reference. But at the same time, you have at the top side, you have this lane bully potential, right? And I hope as well that Luke gets more opportunity to beat out Burger Flipper, and with like a maybe stronger pick, maybe picking out a Fiora, maybe picking out a Jax, something that can really carry. And you're gonna put that pressure as well a little bit from the bot lane away to the top side.
We'll try and get a little bit more of, because yeah, the lead was built. I think we crested, what was it, 2K roughly here for Luke to try and get a lead for himself, but it didn't ever seem to manifest. It never seemed to really be put to bear in these team fights. So, a little bit of awkward Mega Gnar timings. Like, yeah, Gnar did have a gold lead, but it never felt like he was the one really altering fights. It felt like, honestly, Burger Flipper was able to be more of a nuisance on the backlines than this Gnar.
Exactly. And that's also, I think, a little bit of scrappiness that's going on between Baraklau and Luke. They have to go in together. And if they're not going in together, you're going to have this 1-by-1 fight. And that's perfect for Sivir. That's perfect for a Yuumi that's protecting Sivir. Because there's just too much healing coming out. There's not enough damage coming out from just one of these champions alone. So I really hope maybe for next game, if the Jarvan is coming through, that we're going to see a Jarvan together with the Gnar. Or we're going to see some more follow-up. That having said, though, you would expect that there's enough follow-up with Lissandra, right?
Right. You think that there is, and in situations like you're seeing up on your screen where the follow-up was true, cease and desist was then followed with a charm, or, your Gnar ultimate was then followed with a cyclone, or with the prison that you mentioned out of Lissandra, it looked so different, and both of these AD carries were given chances to shine at different moments. Like, we have Sivir and Kalem with a triple kill on our screen right now, but we also have the Zeri play in the base, where she gets one of her own. So it's just a matter of what these fights looked like in terms of setup, even more so than they looked in terms of execution.
Yeah, I hope also a little bit Tigret, that he gets maybe a little bit of more potential, because he was like forcing a lot of fights. He was, I think, I wouldn't say losing, but he did start off the fights like earlier before the actual fight started. And if you throw away that ultimate, right, you need that Frozen Tomb. You need that lockdown on the Sivir. And if you don't have that, then you're going to have the situation that happened right now where you're just walking around, skating a little bit on your ice, but not really getting a lot of things done. So maybe some other picks, maybe some extra damage dealers, maybe having a Victory in there could be cool. Or a LeBlanc that can actually like do the damage instead of the Lissandra just locking people down. What do you think?
Trying to make, I think I agree with you in terms of it's looking like able to, yeah, you're basically forcing the enemy team to not just commit everything onto one player, making sure you have a second threat, whether that's your top laner, squeezing a little bit more out of this Gnar pick, or if you want to slide over to something with maybe a little bit more damage than your Lissandra. I've even seen, if the Lissandra is something that you're really comfortable playing, maybe even something like an Electrocute, something with a little bit more AP, a little bit more punch behind it. But even if the pick is the same, just in terms of the play style, just so that way you're forcing a little bit more danger and a little bit less of an opportunity to free fire for these marksmen. But yeah, this is all just in retrospect. Hindsight is perfect vision, and both of these teams were making plays. It's just, honestly, it came down to execution more than anything. Sometimes games are won and lost in draft. This was certainly not one of these games.
No, that for sure. I think it really was the opportunity of like the correct planning. You know, there is a quote from Sun Tzu, Art of War. I'm gonna go into my full history book. You know,
Right.
I had time to read, so I read The Art of War, and one of the quotes from Sun Tzu is, "Attack is the secret of defense, and defense is the planning of an attack." And what I mean by that is that a lot of these fights, they start off really, really nice, but once it comes down to the execution, you can see which team is planning more than the other. Underworld Empire, they don't have to plan that much. It's just a Singe running at you. It's just a Singe on his Nikes, sprinting through you as if he's Usain Bolt. Compared to the planning that you need from the other side, right? You need to have this lockdown together with the Lissandra, Wukong, and Gnar jumping at the same time, creating some space for the Zeri. And then you see as well, when you have to do more planning, when you are like in a more complex champion situation, you're gonna struggle a lot more with your quote-unquote attack. And I think that's also where Underworld Empire, man, Burger Flipper, he just led the whole way, this whole caravan of destruction. I think it was beautiful. Shout out to him.
Really the ringleader of the chaos, trying to make it turn into these absolute chaos fights. But yeah, certainly a performance for the ages from both of these teams. Don't go anywhere. We're going to be sliding into a break, getting ourselves, my voice, more than anything, giving us a moment to reset. And we will see you guys for Game 2 right after the break. Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Cobalt Wins League. For those of you who are just joining us, we had an absolutely banger game played out in front of us here between Underworld Empire and Connecting Esports, and I have a bit of an apology to make. I'm going to give you guys a little bit of a peek behind the curtain, a little bit of a kind of insight into the way that this works. We had already played out game one by the time we went live with you guys, just due to scheduling, trying to make sure that we had everything lined up for you, giving ourselves some time to work on it. But this game that you just watched was such an incredible spectacle, was such an incredible back and forth game that we're just going to cut to the chase. We are going to give you guys the dessert straight out the gate. You're not gonna have to make you guys go back and watch game one and be like, oh yes, these, okay, very interesting, we're 1-1 tying it. We are gonna slam straight into the climax.
No appetizers?
No appetizers,
Woo!
no cleansing the palate, no vegetables, no doing your homework before you get the fun stuff. We're gonna slam straight into a 1-1 scoreline.
This is better dinner than my retirement home. No more chicken soup.
Yeah, no more soups, no more smoothies. We're going to be able to slam right into the most hype climax to this. Underworld Empire versus Connecting Esports. Game 3 situation. Winner goes home. Loser on a crash course with either polymorphed or the other side of that series. So we're going to just have to, just pretend that you guys watched a super fascinating game one, set the stage, cue the silver scrapes, and got us locked and loaded, but we wanted to do this one live, uncut, and on the mark for you guys.
Samek, do you know why I grabbed my cane back?
Why is that?
Because there's whiskey in it.
Oh, I love it. Absolutely.
Okay.
Love it. I mean,
we took a shot.
For the nerves, honestly, both of these teams were playing on razor's edge in game one.
Oh, for sure. It was just amazing to see how back and forth this went. It was only 4 kill difference. It never felt like one of the two teams just had like everything going for themselves without the risk of losing it. And that's exactly what we saw as well, right? We saw that Underworld Empire, they started off really well. Or actually, they started off really bad because Vi flashed early on. And then it just went back and forth. Connecting Esports taking over, winning the Dragons. Bot lane fight suddenly won by Underworld Empire. Man, I don't know what these two teams ate for dinner, but I'm glad we're doing this in the evening because I don't think I could have dinner right now. I need my dessert. I need to see this final match. And I think these two teams are also looking forward to figuring out who's going to go and advance to the next round of this playoff.
Absolutely. I mean, I can't even imagine how these guys are feeling here, as we're going to be able to slot into, just take a nice little look at the schedule, pretend you guys watched game one, just bear with us a little bit. We want to be able to give you guys the best possible viewing experience, but it means that Connecting Esports come out on top on game one. You guys watched the most recent game, the recent burn, and as a result, being loser picking sides, that does mean that Connecting Esports have selected red side for the ultimate finale of this series. So while we have a moment to to work our way through this, what do you think that's going to change here about the preparation / draft out of Connecting Esports, their first time on this red side?
I think they're going to put a little bit more effort in getting Luke his opportunities. Especially seeing like last game, right? The Gnar was doing really well, but it's a Gnar. What can you do with a Gnar versus a Singed? Not much. If you have a Jax, for example, or if you have a different carry like Vi, Darius, those can do a lot of gold. And they are really scary with gold. And that's also a little bit how you can shut down Kalim, I guess, if you have that another threat going on. So not just the Vi dashing forward, no, but like more people dashing onto you and giving you the struggle that you're supposed to deal with as an AD carry these days.
It definitely feels like the AD carry is... They become the carrot on the stick, right?
True.
Every single one of the team members on both sides is just trying to get to their AD carry on the opposite side.
But honestly, why wouldn't you? Like, if you have played during the Cobalt Wins League with this playstyle and it's worked for you, why switch it up like in the most important moment?
Absolutely. I mean, both of these teams are masters of this style.
Exactly. So I'm really curious. I'm checking real quick. We do have the draft ready, maybe. I'm checking real quick. I don't think so, but we're gonna, jump into a break. Not sure. Sandbag, you're more often here. You know exactly what to do.
Yep. Basically, the only thing that was chirping back and forth was the fact that there was going to be a substitution. You know, it got a little bit messy there for a moment, but there's going to be a substitution considering that meta slave jungler, the Vi, is not going to be able to play this game out.
Who's playing then?
I think the nerves got to him a little bit. You're able to see up on your screen is that meta slave jungler here in that jungle role is going to be replaced with Jonathan Isaac, their alternate jungler. They have a player who has been playing multiple roles. He's the hired gun of the Underworld Empire, slotting himself in up in the top lane, slotting himself into the jungle role whenever they need it. And unfortunately, due to personal issues, meta slave jungler is going to have to step on out for this one. He's not available. So Jonathan Isaac, when all of the chips are down, when all of the stakes could not possibly get any higher, lose this game and out, they're going to be bringing in a substitution, pair of fresh eyes, you know, a new voice, maybe settling the boys a little bit, because, I mean, you and I were kind of getting pretty hypey in the booth here just watching that game. So imagine playing it out as Calum, as Shipex, as Wiggies. Just, you have so much writing on this. You've been playing this week after week, cranking it out into playoffs. And, like, one more little look at it here. You don't have any room for error, Beetle.
This is the final match. This is all what it gives, you know? Like, give or take. You worked up, like, I think, a good, 2 months up to this moment. And it depends on one evening, right? It depends on if there's people with sweaty hands and just slipping and clicking on the wrong moment. This is going to be someone who puts their keys, like me, on, WERT instead of QWER. It happens, okay? It happens. But I don't think it's going to happen with these teams. They have practiced countless of nights. They have sat together, discussed strategies, all living up to this moment. Who is going to win? We're going to figure it out in a bit. Just looked a little bit at Isaac's old champo. We are going to see maybe another Wukong, but also Hecarim is in that list. So,
I mean,
maybe.
you really seem to be a fan of these Usain Bolt picks. The Zeres, the Singe, you know, the Hecarim thrown in there. If this champion can't hit 700 move speed, it doesn't sound like it has the Beetle stamp of approval. But as we say this, talking about champions, the perfect segue, as we're going to be getting ourselves into this champion select here, and lead us through this one, Beetle. What are we looking for?
First, we're going to have to get rid of the 80 carries. Jipex, if you force him onto another Zeri, he's going to do well, but you kind of don't want to have him on something like that. So I'm really curious. Is it going to be the first ban in 80 carry? For sure, right? It has to be.
I would definitely agree with you, but then there's a 2-man bot lane. You need to keep in mind. Oh, it is an 80 carry. Okay, you win. I was going to say, I was expecting a support pick. Because the Melio has been a bit of a menace.
You do want to get Jesse on an uncomfortable support, but man, you brought out the Melio. Like, if you can get play Melio in this situation, what can you ban? As we see another Lulu ban, just like the last game. Maybe a Jinx ban now coming as well for Underworld Empire, still putting Shipex on the hard lane. They prefer to ban this area, I guess.
Something that he's already performed on once, just trying to keep him off it, keep them from just getting into too much of a groove, trying to throw off your opponent. Always a good shout here. But yeah, we're just eating bot lane ban after bot lane ban after bot lane ban here on both sides. I think everyone and their grandmother knows what's going on in this match, and it is going to be another bot lane central matchup.
But it's also really nice because on the top lane there's no bans, and we can see a lot of things coming out from Luke. So who knows, maybe we're going to see a lane bully on Luke's side, and Burger Flipper is going to have to flip some little bit less burgers. It's also...
Could be. I absolutely love the fact that everybody's... I want 6. I want 6.
Oh, give me 6. I just saw the real ban.
Give me 6 bot lane bans. Like, this is just the...
No!
You know what? I'm going to count it as
It's still full house. It's still full house.
I'm going to count it as half because Maokai can be played support with the Sapling Max. So, you know what? We'll give partial credit over to Connecting Esports. They haven't quite ruined it here, as Burger Flipper just cycling his way through his champions, but electing to go through the J4 that you yourself mentioned, that
I
Diamond
mentioned
Brain.
last, right? Diamond Brain.
Really cranking out a couple of inspired moments.
If you get the Gnar now together, that's a really smart pick, actually, taking away the Jinx from Kadem. Because there's not that many AD carries available. Kadem has shown the Sivir last game, so maybe it can be another Sivir game. It's pretty good against Jinx.
Also conspicuously missing is this Xayah. I will say,
I was also thinking, yeah, Xayah is not banned. Nyla is also still...
Whoa, but the Thresh... Okay, I like Wiggy. Okay, A, Wiggy, a competent Thresh, very accomplished player. B, giving your Jinx an out of the Cataclysm that isn't on a 5-minute cooldown is valuable in and of itself. And
Definitely.
Hey, okay, you got your call, I get my call, as the Xayah is the response to the Jinx, setting it up with a Renata here. So there's maybe a little bit more spice, a little bit more agency in the bot lane as opposed to the supports on Enchanters.
There's a really, really weird mechanic going on with Jarvan and Renata ult. And this is like my color casting experience. Okay. So what happens if you actually ult people with Renata? They're going to start attacking each other, right?
Right.
Did you know that Jarvan is the only person that can give an attack speed steroid to enemies?
Oh, does the Demacian standard work on enemies?
It actually works, yeah. So what happens if you Demacia stand an enemy team, you throw that flag in there, they're gonna hit each other faster than usual. I don't know why it's not documented, but it like happens so often in my games and I'm like, what's going on? This was the old pick that we used to play as well in a different league when I was still a player before I retired.
Right.
But this was our special and very little people know this. But
that's
it's very, very good.
Fun. So Jinx is gonna have 3-stack minigun plus Demacian standard plus hostile takeover. Is gonna be auto attacking at the speed of sound, and their Thresh is just gonna get absolutely melted here. I really hope we get to see that interaction play out. I'm stoked. Thank you for that tidbit, Mr. Colorcaster.
Well, honestly, even though like the enemy might not get that much attack speed because you have a speed cap, right? You're gonna already hit the 2.5 cap. The Xayah though is gonna definitely benefit from the Demacian stand. Getting that attack speed on, getting those feathers out is gonna do so much damage. As we see a tank being picked up on the top side. Now Luke has the opportunity to pick a bully. Are we gonna see a bully though?
That is a very good question here. You're going to be able to answer this Vigar, and what is it going to be? He's just cycling through, taking a real long look all the way through it, and going with the Rise here. Interesting enough. Okay, get the fiddle off my screen, man. I do not. We're hovering it, and I got to continue to nod because I think the story is so funny behind it. But we do get it. Okay. Oh, Beetle, we're spoiled. Our dessert is looking glorious this game. Underworld Empire connecting esports. Oh, it's glorious.
It's exactly what I told you that connected esports should do, right? You have already so much pressure on the bot side, but as you see how much Underworld Empire is investing in the bot side by putting a Scion in the top, that's a free lane for you to just bully out as much as you want. If you have a Fiora, it's going to be able to parry the Jarvan knockup quite easily. It's very telegraphed as well, the ability. So why not pick a Fiora? Why not pick the Jax?
Absolutely.
Enjoy the top side.
And you're playing to your strengths, right? Caleb,
sure.
Massive AD carry. Shipbex, no slouch in his own right. Both of these two teams are playing incredibly well around their AD carries, but connecting esports does have the wrinkle of Luke as a 1v1 player. I have cast a couple of his games before. He likes these kind of Fioras, these Jaxes, these hands check champions, trying to go for, as the name suggests, duels. Fiora is pretty much unmatched in current meta in terms of pure 1v1, and Scion is not going to be putting up a fight in that regard. So it forces that Jonathan Isaac in a bit of an awkward situation. Are you going to let Fiora continue to take chunks out of your tank and force you away from the bot lane, or are you just going to be like, good luck, buds, have a nice day up there, and let Fiora free scale?
For sure. And then you also, at the same time, you have the problem that you're going to have a Gragas into you as a Jarvan. You cannot knock this guy up. It sounds maybe weird how I'm wording this. But what I'm saying, Gragas, he's too fat. You can't get a fat guy into the air with his big ass belly jumping into you.
Body
this,
Slam does have priority on pretty much every single movement ability in the game, as every single time I'm on a cast with the Gragas, I gotta say it, Body Slam has nonsense priority. Every dash in the game loses to Body Slam, as far as I'm aware. Even Hookshot, I think, trades out with it. But yeah,
Yep.
Body Slam is pretty much king and will stuff this J4, forcing the ult out early, and with Shipex having this Lantern and Wiggy's Lantern, no less. It's these teams have really set themselves up and set the scene beautifully here.
I wonder if Jonathan can actually get into this backline. If you're gonna have a knocking back Thresh, if you're gonna have a Gragas body slamming you out of your own Cataclysm, you know, I don't know. I find it really tough, I guess, to play from Underworld Empire. It really depends if the jungler can actually assist Calem as much as he should get the assist. And if Ryze can get to the point where he's going to be skilled up enough to just beat out the Veigar in a 1v1. Because he's going to go for a tanky build for sure. Like, that's what Ryze does these days, right? Wave clear, HP, mana. Just get the stats. And that's exactly where Ryze excels. So what do you think? For the magical ball, the crystal ball. We said in my previous crystal ball, all my wishes came true with the picks.
Right.
What is your wish for this game?
My wish for this game is I want a ridiculous, like, 45-minute, like, 90 kill, like, just murder fest. I want to see these teams throw every single thing that they have at each other, because on both sides, there's no timer on either team. You know, Sion, Fiora, Ryze, Veigar, like, every single member of this on both teams is feeling pretty confident late into the game, so I want to see just team fighting. So while we have a couple seconds left, we're going to get ourselves set up and locking into Champion Select. Don't go anywhere for a hypey Game 3 of this series. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Summoner's Rift for Game 3 of Underworld Empire taking on Connecting Esports. And for those of you who have just joined us after the break, this has been a barn burner. Trading it back one game apiece on either side with predictions for Mr. Beetle wanting that Fiora, with anticipation and hypey matchups in the bot lane. More playmaking from the support players, not stuck on Yumi duty anymore. We are set for a beautiful day here on Summoner's Rift.
Ah, man, I am so glad that Luke is actually getting the Fiora in here because, man, he couldn't do that much on Gnar, right? You have a singed against you. You want to be able to kill him over and over again and use gold, but Gnar cannot excel that much with gold, unlike the Fiora can. If Sion dies here 20,000 times, it's still okay for Sion, but you gotta deal with a Fiora. That's really fat.
see, that's the difference, right? The difference is, yeah, sure, Sion doesn't feel too bad dying, but I feel like you're gonna feel a lot worse as Calum staring down a 4-0 Fiora than staring down a 0-0 Fiora, right? Like, sure, Sion will be okay in the isolated 1v1, but everyone else on the map then has to deal with the mess that you created. So Burger Flipper's gonna have to try and do the best he can to not let not creating any monsters up in the top lane if you're supporting the side of Underworld here.
Oh, for sure, for sure. As we see here as well, actually, red side start once again for both junglers. They are gonna be pathing to the bot side. As you see, Jipex, he does get the push. They're looking for a level 2. Wiggy is known for his thresh and the aggression that he has usually. So it's quite nice to see that they're respecting Wiggy as much as possible. Maybe something happening in mid lane?
As Vygar very intelligently, even though the waves can be pushing away from him, right as I said, he's going to be flag and drag knocked up, forcing the summoner away from him. And that's only a small curse, okay? It was only a sum. It wasn't a death. I was going to credit him for playing safely.
That's true.
I was going to credit him for playing safely, knowing that the J4 could do something like rather cheeky. But then he stepped up in search of a melee minion and lost his summoner for it. So,
man, I guess even though as a Yordle, you're sometimes a little bit too big. Maybe it's the hand. The hand is too big.
the Vygar hand was what got knocked up there, and the rest of them followed. But yeah, already we got a little bit of action as Jonathan Isaac looking to put his mark on the game early on.
Oh, for sure, for sure. See, also Burger Flipper winning out with the shoving on the top side as the waves are going to crash into Fiora. That's one of the bad things for Fiora. She cannot wave clear. She's just like Camille in that's like spectrum of champion. That is great with lane bullying, but once you have a pusher like Sion, you're gonna have a bad time trying to push that back. So I'm really curious to see if Sion's gonna go for back here, trying to get the early item. I think he's gonna go for a call maybe.
More than likely, as the mid laners lock each other down, but the phase rush is the differentiator. It ended up just being a phase rush here for this Rise. But yeah, there's nothing much happening. Both of these junglers do have tools available to them. Flag and drag on one side, body slam on the other. I expect to see, we're not waiting until 6 this time. We're not a Vi. We can get something done early. And we're going to be setting up a little something. He is in bot side Tri-Brush. He is going to be trying to dash forwards here. Flashing forwards is this Gragas. And getting a pair of summoners. Handshake not quite underneath the tower here. Playing it on both sides. Auto for auto summoners expended. And up in the top side, flashing forwards. I was completely missing this one as Luke is able to get the solo kill on the Burger Flipper.
Mid lane as well, mid lane.
Incredibly low. Rooted himself underneath the tower here as Iron 5 Baboon almost lives up to his name, living with 120 health. And immediately, the 4-minute mark hits. These champions hit level 4, and everybody is trying to murder their opposite laner.
Oh my god, that was at the same time every single lane just started having its own like the crumble of situations happening. So first of all, let's go to the top side. Burger Flipper dying to the Fiora. But listen up. Fiora, even though she gets a kill, right? She has expanded her summoners and she has used her teleport. Sion, on the other hand, also used the summoners, but it's on a lower cooldown, right, with the ghost. Sion doesn't need his summoners as much as Fiora does. When it comes to escaping, Sion is perfectly fine with dying and clearing a wave with his death passive. If Fiora gets ganked, it's going to be a problem. And the other side, we have the mid lane. I don't know what happened there, but I think Baboon was just getting a little bit overzealous with Trigger, trying to get the kill there. and then getting rooted on the tower.
Yeah, I think Baboon got himself thrown off a little bit by the phase rush move speed. Got a little bit too carried away and ran underneath the turret. Ate 2 tower shots and almost killed himself to it. And even though the Vigart didn't do any damage himself, would have still been KP from the root, which would have been a bit of an awkward death and a bit of a highlight moment here for Tigra, but that doesn't happen. Is down in the bot lane, body slamming forward is this Gragas, trying to buy some time with that barrel, lanterning their way to safety from Wiggies, and he's not feeling too bad considering he's got the Hex Flash, but yeah, take a nice little look at every single summoner on the board, and how many of them are still lit up.
Almost none, almost none. We do have Shipex still having his summoners though. He was quite careful with spending those. As Wiggy missed sadly the hook on that engage. Beautiful engage by the way from Bakal. Is that he got the double body slam. As we see the dragon being taken away after that little skirmish. Bakal just decided to not contest it because, you know, he doesn't have his mid laner with him. It's out of mana. Tigra spent everything on trying to push the wave back. Man, it's going steady, smooth, but at the same time chaotic. It has everything this game. It's a crazy dessert.
Absolutely. It's steady insofar as the fighting's been steady. Like, everyone's been trying to make their plays time and time again, but it's more a matter of neither team has so far cracked, right? That's the difference. Like, both team are making plays and are moving, but neither team has actually cracked and given up anything meaningful. Yeah, sure. A kill here, a Drake there, a smidgen of gold on one side or the other, fine. But no one has actually got anything big moving. So we're going to look... This is where I get to pick your brain a little bit. What are we thinking the first big play is going to be now that the dragon is down?
I think the first play is definitely going to be around the Herald. If you can get this Fiora ahead, get the tower out, you're going to maybe be able to dive the Scion a couple of times and get that early gold for Fiora. We already see as well a little bit of a CS lead at Fiora. Even though it's 51 to 52 right now, there is a wave at Fiora's tower. When Luke gets ahead, he can actually bully out the Scion so much because Divine Sunderer versus Scion is, I think, the most efficient item in the entire catalog of items in situations. I have not seen an item perform better than Divine Sunderer versus Scion.
When a champion wants to do nothing but stack HP and an item says nothing but you cannot stack HP, you're pretty much setting yourself up for success if you're this Fiora, so it's going to be absolutely rushing for this. Forcing the Ghost here, Shipex is going to be just trying to put the shots into the back of Caleb. No summoner available to him. Does have that Featherstorm down there, but electing not to use it. Good nerves, not getting too jittery. And so Ghost expended in trade for the health bar of Caleb.
Yep. I think that's the 280 carries having the time of their life right now playing as top laners. As we see an engage happening maybe on top
Yora is going to be able to dance away from the first ultimate here, but the Flag of Drag will still connect. Cataclysm outplating it and dropping the damage on his head as the trades on back here. So we're going to be trading out Yese for Luke as support and top laner will both be falling here, but one of these things is not like the other. One of these things is a lot more uncomfortable with falling than the other.
Oh man, that felt so bad. Seeing the Fiora trying to use the parry, but just being CC'd for a good 4 seconds. If you miss the first one, there's no coming back versus Jarvan Scion. But it's especially what I said here, you know, you're gonna try to fight for this Herald because if Fiora gets this Herald onto the Scion, she's gonna get the Divine Sunderer gold that you don't want to have on Fiora early on. So it's really good. Also, the reaction on the other side, Jonathan was already waiting there. Burger Flipper, great engage, but then if you see as well, Josiah was there already, way before Wiggy actually arrived. So it's really good to see that they acknowledge the picks on the other side, but at the same time, they also immediately make plans on avoiding situations like Fiora getting Divine Sunderer.
Absolutely. Trying to delay that as much as possible is this Scion. Yeah, Burger Flipper will be stacking HP. He'll be feeling good moving forwards into the game, but you will just get absolutely obliterated if it's in a vacuum. So, correctly identifying this, Jonathan Isaac, focusing his attention away from the bot lane for what seems to be the first time in the series as a bit of a mistiming on the parry. Ends up eating a third of the health bar of Luke, but yeah, it's actually looking pretty tricky here. It's just getting walked down. Your counter pick is not quite living up to expectation thanks to Jonathan Isaac.
Yeah, this is exactly where we were watching, you know. If Luke can get the Divine Sunderer, it's going to be a completely different fight. But for now, you are going to struggle against the crazy stat stacking Burger Flipper on his Cyan pick.
Yeah,
Man.
and also the other thing is you just don't have the wave push. Until that
Exactly.
comes through, you're just gonna, as you mentioned, you're just gonna get shoved under. Like, yeah, sure, if you were able to trap them both in an arena and duke it out, Fiora probably still wins this out, able to get that parry this time, but still, you're gonna be losing CS here underneath the turret, trying to get these last hits and pick up these scraps.
I kind of want to see Luke just going.
Okay,
for
ultimate forwards here, able to get the
ult.
damage down, trying to vamp up with that grand challenge, forcing the Featherstorm out in the bot lane here, as both of the junglers are here, not able to get the root out of that first yank back, and flashing away. What can the hostile takeover do as it grazes everybody, but slightly misangled? And once again, nobody cracks. Neither team is able to get a decisive advantage, and the gold stabilizes at 17k apiece.
Yeah, that's the problem as well when you have the jungler already getting chunked out that much. It's a good targeting that happened on the bot side.
Flashing forwards, able to get the Glacial here. Flashing away is this bot lane as both Jesse and Kalem was going to run for the hills. The Ghost is still available as the Gragas comes up with the Infernal Drake fight or die out of Yese. But with the excitement coming through from the Jinx, you're going to have to dance away from it, flashing away from the flag and drag, but Jesse's going to fall. The Shipex United train rears its head once more as Connecting Esports finally get their prize, stealing away a Drake and getting a couple of kills on the tail end.
Man, that Gragas was able to steal the dragon, and that's exactly the only reason why you should be there, right? It's a dragon. So not getting the dragon must feel really bad, especially if you give away 2 kills. Josiah already on 2 deaths. She's struggling a little bit on this situation here, with Vicky just being really good with the Thresh.
Yeah, the Renata has been put a little bit behind the curve of the game here, as Wiggy's a champion that they are very, very comfy on. Something that they have cranked out game after game after game, is released from Enchanter duty and able to make their plays, and honestly seems to be deserving of this so far. Everyone's pulling out their picks. Everyone's got what they want in their hands. And okay, yeah, sure, that's a net positive here for the red team. Connecting Esports feeling good about that one. But there is still a Herald in the pocket of Jonathan Isaac. It will still translate to plates. It will still equalize this gold with one more little crash in. There it is. And yeah, neither team really is a heads nor tails above the other still, despite the win here around the Dragon Pit.
Can we just highlight how good that ward is there over the wall at the blast cone? It's literally just out of range of that pink ward. It's kind of crazy how well that's placed, because it gives also a little bit of vision to the jungle entrance right there at the bush. So you could see the Gragas coming from a mile away, and they're just backing off nicely, respecting that the Gragas has a lot of gold.
They are indeed trapped inside the cage here. Walking into the cage once more is Baboon, as we might need to keep our eyes on that moving forwards. That, so far, walking into a pair of cages has not amounted to anything, but the further and further into the game and the more AP this Vigar gets...
Jipex. Let's be careful there.
Okay, he did have, correctly identifying that Wiggy's was behind him with the lantern. I was holding it for just a moment. Able to get the knock into the side of the cage. Body slam not connecting, and without it, the damage is not there. One more little the ultimate not able to control alt-delete their way through it. The body slam was the differentiator here, and narrowly dancing away from the decimating smash at the top lane here, as it's getting a little bit better. Divine Sunderer completed. Luke is feeling much better.
Yeah, that's quite painful if you pick Sion and you see a Fiora against you. And then we see also a little bit of scrappiness happening here at the blue buff.
No flash on Bakal here. Trapped inside the Cataclysm. The Scion's going to be the first one to reinforce it. Flag and drag. He's just going to beat him straight up isolated 1v1 as Jonathan Isaac picks him up here. Going Ghost is this Scion running away. Does not have the ultimate available to him. Trying to get a bit of a slow here, but Fiora might have bitten off more than she can chew. Rises here to reinforce, and it is a payday here to Burger Flipper. Feeling a little bit too comfy with that itemization in hand, and it's just a bit much here from Luke.
You know, I felt that deep down I felt that you dash forward with your only defensive option, trying to get the slow on a Scion who's ghosting away, and you just immediately get punished for it. Jessie was also on her way there. You have Baboon collapsing from the side. You're pretty much dead as Fiora.
Yeah. What? As soon as you queue forwards, yeah, that
Yeah.
you're just dead. Honestly, even though the shorter cooldown on the connection, it's not going to be enough for you to queue out plus flash plus try and run away from the reinforcements of Yesa. Meaning
You can
blue
do
team,
everything you want, but like lunging and
yeah.
riposting forward is not the greatest answer to do in the enemy jungle.
Okay, Gale forcing
Okay.
away. Speaking of defensive tools, a little bit of a beautiful hook here. I did not know if the timing was correct, but Wiggy's proving that the timing is all in his head here, getting a payday for Shipex and clawing something back in the bot side.
I did not even see her land, and she just got sucked out of that
No.
animation. That was clean.
The meaty hook here in the bot lane. I was a little bit nervous that the jitters were getting to Wiggy's and that they cast it too soon, but as she fell, she landed directly onto the waiting hook, and Wiggy's proving that what do we know here, Beetle? We know nothing compared to Wiggy's Thresh.
Honestly, if you have someone that can reverse Captain Jack, your AD carry with a hook, I kind of scared for a Thresh like that. But it gives also Jesse, the opportunity to just decide, maybe we should give up Kalem.
Bit of a scrap here in the mid lane. The ultimate is expended and the Vigar will fall here. Trying to get a little bit more here. Body slam is available. Cask just getting damage but disengaging, meaning the health bar is certainly favoring the red team despite the death of their mid laner. Seems like they're in control of the pit. 7k on the dragon. What can Jonathan Isaac do? He does have vision of it. He does have a pink ward. He does have knowledge as he's going to be in the back of the pit here. Hostile takeover onto 2 as the support and jungler are going to be smiting off a ton of each other. But you can just remove the smite from the equation. Flashing forwards, locking it down is the Baboon. As we have a bit of a DC here from Kalem. That's a little bit awkward. And slamming ourselves into a pause. Okay. Everybody needs to just take a chill pill here.
Whew. I mean, it's kind of crazy how at the same time Underworld Empire, they kind of were behind in this whole dragon situation, still come back ahead. But what I was trying to say as well is with Jessie being able to choose now, that Baboon is also having a lot of gold, she can choose to just also focus on roaming mid more. And giving Kalem just maybe some free farm on the bot side, getting solo XP is really good in this situation. I think it looks more favorable for Underworld Empire right now, but I don't want to toot my horn and say, they're going to win.
Yeah,
I don't know. It's still going 50-50, I would say.
It is certainly not enough of a lead that you're going to have any confidence. If you were a betting man, you would be keeping your money safely tucked inside your pocket right now, because this could honestly go either way. I mean, 1.4k gold at 20 minutes is, it's nice, but you're also looking at incredibly scaling champions on both sides, meaning that later on into this game, oh, okay, this is just a little bit insulting down here in the bottom lane. She's tickling him. Like, he's not even 2 items, and she can't touch the Scion already.
This is like dust particles in the wind hitting you while cycling. Like, it's just not even tickling.
Just shooting raisins at him, like out of a blowgun. Like, what are we doing here, honestly? As soon as that IE, the LDR, some itemization comes to deal with it, it's good, but he's still a long way away from taking damage from anyone not named Fiora. As speaking of the aforementioned Fiora, able to riposte their way out of it and lantern away. Right place, right time is Wiggy's. And I am very, very impressed with this Thresh so far, trying to navigate the safety of their teammates.
Yeah, you would think that the Scion is OP in that situation when an AD carry does like 15 damage against you per auto attack. But if you look at the gold real quick, I just want to highlight one thing. You see how much gold Scion actually has compared to the Jinx? He has more gold than the Jinx. Even though the Jinx has 2 kills and 2 assists, Scion got so many platings that he is just rocking a good 7.2k gold already at 19 minutes. What do you expect? If he has more gold, he is supposed to be able to tank you, right?
Right.
So we're not going to blame Riot Games. We're going to blame that we need to focus on getting this Scion a little bit on a chill pill when it comes to his farm and experience.
Yep. And so honestly, the butterfly effect, right, that you mentioned, Jonathan Isaac is the one that we're blaming here, because Jonathan Isaac was the one who was able to ruin Luke's day up in the top lane and get a kill over to his
Yep.
top laner to stop the bleeding, and get a little bit of an advantage back to his top laner, you know, crash the wave, etc., and to stop the bullying from taking place, which means that the damage was not there out of the Jinx. So in a weird way, the J4 is the one ruining the Jinx's way through process of, you know, one to another to another to another down the line.
Not just that, like the Jarvan is currently, I think, having the most gold in the game, which is kind of crazy as a jungler for level 11. But he has the most gold in the game because of the amount of heralds that he already took. Both heralds going to the favor Underworld Empire. What do you think? How would they look to come back a little bit? Because I think Underworld Empire is really in the driving seat slowly with the Scion stacking so much HP and armor.
I mean, driving seat, sure, but this guy's got the door still open. His seatbelt's not buckled. Like, they are not in like significant control of this game by any stretch of the imagination. My play is to try and, as you mentioned, try and get this Fiora ahead again. Like, Chipex is eventually gonna get farm. Like, we just know that as a player, he's had no trouble picking up resources in the past. But I think extending the pressure in this side lane, trying to get Fiora some gold, cover her, you know, maybe have a tailing like side laner to try and reinforce her, make sure she can't get picked off. Because then if she can put the pressure back on this Scion that she lost earlier on, it means that he can't just march forward into the middle of four people feeling as comfortable if she's able there to kind of slow him down a little bit.
Yeah, that's true. I'm just also looking a little bit at the vision. Both teams doing pretty defensive warding. We just saw a pink ward getting cleared out for Kalhau. But both teams, they haven't set up a lot yet. Dragon is about to spawn in a bit. And, you know, every single time an objective comes up, it goes against what Underworld Empire is trying to defend from. Because what you want to have is Underworld Empire, you want to have like a lot of team fights. On the other side, connecting esports with this Fiora pick, with the Vigra pick, you do want to get this 1-3-1. But if you have an objective, you're forced to group. You see in this situation as well, Luke can get a lot of things done here as Fiora.
Handshake onto the Gragas, will be body slammed away from and able to get a cleanse out of Kalem here. Riposte is expended, meaning that long cooldown is not available. Something in the, I think it's like 14-15 seconds early on, so no ranks into it means that they don't quite have the damage available.
Maybe the fight?
The Dragon has been started here, down to 7k. We're hitting Scion so far. Hostile takeover will only connect onto the Fiora here. Trying to flash away is this Jinx, and what can she get done? Ghost is popped. The AD carries are going to find each other, putting a couple shots, forcing the Featherstorm out of this Xayah. And with both of these AD carries extremely low, Xayah is not going to be able to be comfortable in this fight. She's going to have to try and retreat backwards away. Party Cask is going to be able to slam the flashing forwards, able to pick up this support. Never mind, the damage is not quite enough. I thought he had a follow-up on it. But Red Team does have the health bar lead. While they did not kill anyone with it, they still own the Dragon Pit and are able to equalize out these dragons in what was a very touch-and-go situation for both teams.
Oh, for sure, for sure. It's good to see that they are still winning these fights, because Underworld Empire actually should be excelling in having these Dragon team fights. It's, on one hand, it's good. On the other hand, it's going against your team mentality of like having a 1-3-1, and then you're supposed to lose team fights. So it's kind of impressive how Connecting Esports is still coming back on top with these fights. I think most of the work, though, is coming from Shipex again, together with Wiggy. They're just finding so many opportunities. These hooks are crazy. How are they doing this?
I mean, Wiggy's is unleashed. Even in the pregame chat, they were saying they were fired up to finally get the Thresh into their hands. But yeah, in that fight, it just ended up being Shipex getting two crit rockets onto the backline of Kalem, forcing the Featherstorm, forcing the health bars very low, and without the AD carry to try and check the other members of the red team, all it took was 2 crits. Right? 40% crit available. They won the coin flip twice, and then all of a sudden Kalem was unable to fight. So, good target selection here for Shipex.
It's also really nice that seeing Luke going immediately to bot lane as well. A little bit of scrappiness happening. I just want to highlight real quick. Luke going to the bot side fighting off the Scion, Luke is going to win that push versus Scion. Now that he has Tiamat as well, it's just going to be swinging into a completely different way. What you're going to have is that these two are going to be running at each other the entire time. Fiora's going to win out slowly. So the longer that they stall out this Baron, the better it's going to be for connecting esports. They want to stall time. They don't want to fight objectives because it forces them into a team fight, which Scion excels at. So you see, immediately ult being popped.
Winning it out, but on the other side, Vygar is caught a little bit far from home, forcing out that early cage, which means the handshake connecting will likely just straight up kill him. Gale forcing forwards, able to go golden for just a moment, but that stopwatch being broken means that's a dead mid laner, and 47 seconds is no joke here in this team fight. Okay, a little bit more coming out of this, picking up the dragon and lanterning their way out means they claim the dragon, forcing Jonathan Isaac to flash on his own, and okay, re-engaging. Okay, this is going to be the fight that we're looking for, forcing the golden out of Mr. Bakal. Missed the timing a little bit here, but the pass to follow it up. No lantern available, Shipex is caught, and Shipex is shut down. Blue team roaring back forwards, picking off 3-1 after another, going up 10-5 in this game and setting their sights on the big purple worm.
That's going to be the Baron, and that's exactly what we said. We don't want to have these fights from connecting esports, but they still got caught by themselves. And now we see a little bit of flinging around from Rice.
Okay, what can the Fiora get done on the back of it? Grand challenge has been issued, but she will die before it is popped. Vygar is going to have to try and come up with something ridiculous, try and get one big fell swoop, but it will be secured by Jonathan Isaac. And right as you were talking about it, Beetle, they don't want to fight it out for the red team. They want to play sides. They want to pull the map apart, and they end up giving up everything in the kitchen sink in that fight.
It was a little bit of a rolling down the hill from bad to worse. We first have the situation that Tigray got caught on the top side. It's not too bad, you know, because they still got the mid tower. It can happen that someone gets caught. We don't expect these teams to play absolutely perfectly because nobody can play perfectly. Not even in the LEC and the LCS, they play perfectly. They answered correctly by going to the mid side and trying to take the tower. They got the tower, but then the Jarvan was fighting a little bit with the Jinx. Jinx was able to get out. And then there was the miscommunication of Bakal dashing forward with the body slam. You know, what are you going to do when you body slam forward and there's nobody to follow you up? You're going to get caught out. And it's exactly what Isaac did. You know, he followed up immediately. During this process, there was a Zhonya being popped from Bakal, and Wiggy threw the lantern on top of him, trying to save him. Now, in the first reaction, that's kind of good to do. But once that lantern ran out, you don't have a lantern anymore for Shipex. And that's where we saw as well, immediately re-engage on Shipex. Shipex gets caught out because there's no lantern available. And that's a steamroll from things going bad to worse. Now that they lost the dragon, or the Baron, it's immediately another gold swing. We see a difference of 5k gold. And the Scion just keeps building items that Shipex cannot deal with. So, how are they going to come back from this? Of course, maybe the 1-3-1 again or 1-4. Luke doing really well with getting another tower here. This is the only person I think that can pull them back into it. They are on another timer. Luckily, the dragon spawned, so they have some breathing room, you know.
They do indeed. And to be fair, right, this is Cloud Soul. That is not the greatest soul in the world when it comes to, you know, Jonathan Isaac. He's not going to be using it too great with the ultimate. You know, Iron 5 Baboon is not really going to be channeling his ultimate in the middle of a fight. Yes, I guess kind of can follow up of his. But these aren't the, like, Hekarims, the Olafs, the Kennons, these, like, crazy snap engaged champions. So the Soul isn't the world burning here for the red team. So yeah, Soul Point going over to the blue team. Soul Point has been set up, and that's obviously a nice thing to have in your pocket. But I don't think the game ends at Soul like it does in some others.
I'm actually really surprised to see that they are losing in gold when it comes to the Baron. They started off with 6k difference and now they're back at 4k. So I think Luke is getting a lot of gold right now on the top side. Maybe it's really good that this Baron is taking so slow. I don't know. Feels like connecting esports is doing the right things when it comes to turtling. And Underworld Empire, maybe they got stalled out a bit too much at the dragon. What do you think?
I don't necessarily think they got stalled out, but I think that's just a testament to the two comps that they've cooked up. Like Vygar, Jinx, Gragas plus Team at Fiora, like the AoE is certainly there. They're
Yeah.
not forced into these like Akali lanes or these champs that are really forced to commit their bodies to clear the waves. It means that they're
Mhm.
able to clear them from a distance. They're able to try and shut them down before they become Baron creeps. And as you
Yep,
said, turtling is the name of the game, right? You still
for
want
sure.
this Fiora to hit third item. You want Jinx to hit third item. Vygar, like you're not completely
Yeah.
railroaded by this Baron like other comps maybe.
No, for sure. I think it's a two-faced situation. On one hand, if you're Underworld Empire, you do like getting dragons. You do like getting to that end game where you're gonna have the Elder Dragon being able to be picked up as like an objective, because your team is good at
Oh,
picking up objectives.
Vygar caught once
Oh,
more. You can't cage the Scion ult, bud. As Tigra will get themselves picked off in a side lane, and I really, really hate mentioning players by names in terms of errors, but that's twice now. That's twice now that you've been doing a good job turtling, weathering the storm, and then the opening proves to be picking off this mid laner out in a side lane.
I mean, it's a faster recall. It's all planned because he's gonna get home
Oh,
guard now.
I mean, when the faster recall takes 40 seconds, I'm not sure I agree with you. As
Oh,
J4 Cataclysm Forward is able to get a summoner spell, but you're 4
Magnus
versus
Loop.
5 here. You're going to be trying to
Oh,
get the fight. You're able to go into the golden here as a massive, massive ultimate out of this, pardon me, from this Zaya, as the Gragas is going to be shut down by J4,
Max
but
run.
you're short-handed here. You're just dead to Scion ult. Why are we fighting 4 versus 5? I'm tripping over my words because I'm just blown away by the fact that we've got our mid laner caught and we're electing to fight anyway.
Yeah, I mean, if you have a 50 seconds ult on a pretty good engage and stoppable onslaught, that does 1200 damage, by the way. Um, yeah, I don't know. It feels like Sion is taking over a little bit, especially with the amount of walling that he does for the Rise. And having two damage opportunities gives Kadem also the opportunity to flash forward, going aggressive with that Feather Storm and trying to just hit a lot of people. I
Yeah,
don't know.
just going
It
into the Featherstorm, flashing forward. I will say, when Caleb can use every single defensive tool
it feels
going
a bit illegal,
forwards,
right?
that going forwards into the middle of your team and is not punished for it, you're not
Yeah.
feeling good here for connecting
It
esports.
feels a little bit illegal. As you see, also
It's
Burger Flipper just hitting the tier 2 tower on the bot side. Yeah. You know,
oh
I feel like they still can come back from this situation, but they just really, really have to stop getting caught by the Scion Ultimate. The Scion Ultimate is just so good to like start up these fights and getting the engages on. Or to escape in this case.
I love that
Yeah.
one. Acknowledging the sign ultimate before he immediately presses it
He's
off the
not gonna
screen.
win.
But it just means that with that tool unavailable and no TP, they're going to be kicking straight over to the
That's,
Baron, starting this one
that's
up.
actually smart.
I
Super
like this
smart.
call. They do have TP advantage on the side lane, so if they commit to a full 5 versus 5, Fiora will join, and he cannot. As going into the Cataclysm, the Jinx is trapped and can't press the Lantern because it was warded here. As with that falling AD carry, Calum is gonna sail forwards, put the shots in the team fight. Sure, your Fiora picks him up in the side lane, but 4 for 1 plus Baron does not translate.
Oh man, it felt so bad because there was actually a really good plan as well at the banana wall. There was a small ward. The opportunity for Fiora to teleport. Oh, is he gonna be caught out here? Well, thanks for the leash, I guess.
Yeah, that's gonna
Fiora,
be...
Fiora had the
Oh,
opportunity to turn the fight there. He had the TP advantage, but he chose to chase the Scion. And now Scion chasing is just like Singe chasing. It's not worth it. As we look at the replay here a little bit, ah, man, I just feel so bad with the strategy is good. You see at the banana ward, there is a ward available for the Fiora TP. And we see the good engage also on the Rise, but Rise is just too tanky. Zonyaing late, even baiting out everybody forward. And then you see Isaac actually jumping forward, catching a lot of people with that Cataclysmic ult, zoning out the AD carry, and making sure that this fight is a 4-for-0 sweep. Ah, on one
yeah,
hand, I feel like they've made the right decision, but on the other hand, this is the execution again.
You just
Connecting
need to go
esports.
early there. You just need to go when you're not in vision of this Scion because he's just
Exactly.
going to be able to interrupt it. You just got to commit to it early. You know, sure, Scion's going to probably get some damage onto your T3 turret, but that's your best opportunity when you're from behind. You got to take these, you know, slightly unfavored situations because right now, blue team just picked up everything they could ever want here. Underworld Empire is laughing.
Caleb? Game is going crazy. Maybe Luke can actually do something here on the top side. He is already at the inhibitor tower. And Burger Flipper is really struggling with this. Look at the damage of Fiora, though.
Massive damage out of these Sheen procs, but the problem is Scion can just clear the wave here.
Yeah, but they have to recall. You see, they're actually all going back now. They got the inhibitor, but that's going to be another free wave for Shipex to just keep free farming. There's nothing else spawning apart from Elder Dragon in 4 minutes. That's going to be good, I think, like good 1,000 to 2,000 gold per minute that you're going to get here from these waves.
Indeed.
So, one hand, it's good that they got the bot inhibitor. On the other hand, if they can't get the mid inhibitor, it might actually be in favor a little bit of connecting esports and gives them an opportunity to come back into this game. Especially seeing Luke. Luke is going crazy. It's only offensive items.
Yeah, why bother defending, you know, all this Sun Tzu nonsense, trying to just, you know, why not just kick the door down myself here, honestly?
It's one of the better strategies, right? Just running forward. We saw it last game with the Singed, but now the Fiora, he's winning from Scion really hard. He's pushing the wave so hard that Scion has to defend at the inhibitor tower. As we see a push happening in the mid lane, maybe a dive coming up.
They might be setting up a little something, TPing their way forwards. It's going to be immediately canceled. They TP'd onto a structure that already fell. And with that sum unavailable, it's getting just a little bit awkward here for the red team.
Ooh, I mean, that was nice. But Baboon still died in that situation. He's monkeying it out a little bit too much under the inhibitor tower. We see Fiora here actually hovering in the top push. You didn't know that she's there? Kayla?
Not sure they have information here.
I don't think they had information. It was just very unlucky timing there. But yeah, there's a lot of gold in this Fiora. Like she's monstrously strong. 1,500 gold, or 15,000 gold on the Fiora. A little bit less than the Xayah gold, but then on the other hand, you also still have that. I just wanted to say the Jinx actually has still enough items, but it feels like she doesn't have enough items. Seeing how tanky Burger Flipper is, having that attack speed reduction, having that crit reduction, it's kind of crazy, no?
It is indeed. It's just so much, like, you can't hit Scion, honestly. You can't hit the Scion and hope to come up with a winning team fight, right?
It feels like he's just not even tickling at this point, not even dust. It's just like...
Yeah,
maybe some air.
He's going to be completely brushed off, which means target selection all the more important. It means that everything is going to be coming down to this. Just what seems to be a climactic fight. I could see this game ending just instantaneously, right? If one team is able to wipe the other, you can just jam it straight down mid and end this game at any moment, considering we hit the 40-minute mark.
If connecting esports does find the fight, does find the picks. Oh, actually, Kaden dashing forward, TP coming out. This might not be too favorable.
Here, but immediately going to be trashing away here. Both summoners are blown here on Tigra, but they're 2 versus 4. They've caught themselves a long way from home, and the blue team has already shut down the mid laner. Luke is going to be running for the hills. And with Scion in your base, you're just caught on all fronts. Tigra shut down, no summoners available. They're gonna have to chase the Scion out. Fiora seems to be able to be making a great escape here. And with this, it's scrambling all across the map here. Ultimate forwards into 2. Scion's in the middle of 3 people. Hook does go wide. Trying to kite it out is this Jinx. Forcing the flash away from the decimating smash. And you've only gotten a third of his HP after all of this and half of yours. I'm pretty sure you just lose to the Thornmails if you're this Jinx. So you need to find a backliner. You need to find someone more valuable. 4 versus 5. Can they hold the door? Are they able to get something going? Level 16 onto the Jinx. She's putting the shots into the Scion so far. Hook does land onto the Rise. First tower will fall. Scion is still taking a beating as the zap will not connect and it forces them back away from it. Sion proves to be mortal. He can actually take damage. He's going to have to slip on back towards this Elder, and they will hold their base. 4 versus 5. You're going to have to try this. Connecting Esports is going to have to look for something.
Baboon doesn't have a stopwatch. This actually might be an unfavorable fight because he's half HP already before the fight starts.
Here, able to get the Blade Caller into 2 Grand Challenge fight or die out of the AD carry, but she does go golden, is able to try and stall this one out. First one to fall is going to be the Gragas, able to get the Fiora. She's able to get the lifesteal through it, and diving forwards with the HP at her fingertips, they are able to shut down to take control of the pit. Teleport not available, as J4 is going to be flayed out of it, does get his prize on the tail end of it. So Tigra will fall. 2 versus 2 on the dead. They are both falling. Fight or die will not be procced here. Sion sitting in the base, TPing away. They're going to be canceling it away. They're able to lock it down. The handshake means that Sion is going to be hitting the base, and with the recall stopped, it means that Burger Flipper, with his ridiculously oversized hands, are going to be able to palm down the Nexus and end this game with a backdoor full tank Sion at the 40-minute mark. And this game comes crumbling to an end.
I cannot believe
Empire closing this one out.
I do not believe that Burger Flipper just decided to run into the base, see the opportunity to just backdoor, and then we're like, what do we do? Do we TP? And there was immediately the knock-up cancel. There was Jesse canceling another TP. Man, what an ending to this amazing series. Woo!
Boys and girls, ladies and gents, the Cobalt Wins League is the place to be.
It delivered once more.
Entertainment you won't find anywhere else in an amateur league.
Oh my god.
As this game comes down to the absolute wire. Remember we were talking about that crystal ball? Remember we were talking about, you were saying you hit your predictions, you got everything you want in Champ Select, and I said I wanted a 40-minute bloodbath. I wanted these teams to be able to pop off, show their stuff, everyone having their signature champions. We got everything we wanted to and more out of this series. We went the full 3 games. We went the distance. We got our team fights. The AD carries showed off their micro. We got the counter picks in the top lane, and
for sure,
we got the spiciest end that I personally have seen in a very, very long time.
It was so back and forth. It was kind of crazy, but then ending it in this kind of fashion where you do backdoor. You just basically, if you backdoor, you state we're the better macro team. And that's especially where Underworld Empire sometimes struggled. They completely revamped themselves, avenged themselves from that 2-0 that they had before versus Connecting Esports, and they're advancing. Which means for our brackets, if we can take a look at the brackets in a bit, they're advancing. Tomorrow we have another match for you guys, actually. I don't know. I'm just too hyped. I want to see more of Underworld Empire. They're making such a great return, coming from the losers bracket, beating out everybody, and now also avenging themselves from the Connecting Esports. The number 3 seed goes further to the next round.
I'm still trying to catch my breath, Beetle. I'm going to need you to cover for just a moment. We had not even this crazy lethality ulting your turret for 2k damage Sion. That was just this man lumbering his way up to the gates, just slowly and triumphantly putting punch after punch after punch into that Nexus while his team covered for him, canceling teleports with handshakes, trying to sacrifice themselves going into GAs, assassinating the Vigar for the wave clear denial. And it ended up being our climactic dragon fight being an elaborate ruse all along. Underworld Empire, just like they wrote it up, kicked down the back door and closed this one out in spectacular fashion.
I want to say well played to the Sion. He played safe during the laning phase. He minimized his deaths. He didn't let that much CS go, so well played to him. But all memes aside, Calum, I think Calum is able to relax a little bit after this game. They have been playing so much bot side heavy, and now having Baboon stepping up as well, doing the most damage in the team, almost most damage in the game, actually. I think it gives such a relief, that you know that your mid lane, that your top side is going to be really good. Even with the substitute that they had right now with Jonathan Isaac in the jungle, they had a good time. And knowing as well that they have replaced their entire top side, this must feel like a very stress relieving game.
Absolutely. I mean, it's super funny for you to say stress relieving when I think my blood pressure just hit triple what it's supposed to be at the end of that game. But certainly stress relieving now that it is completed. Now that we know for a fact Underworld Empire is on a collision course with Poly and Reef Tsunami. Loser of that, you're going to be able to see in front of you. It's going to be in round 5. But even before we get to that, we're going to have to try and settle out Poly versus Reef themselves. That's going to be tomorrow. So, but I mean, we're getting a little bit ahead of ourselves, right? We need to slow down. Just take a moment. Having watched the games in front of you, Beetle, having been able to kind of pick over it as as an observer, as a fan, honestly, I think both of these teams have made fans of me. They obviously playing their hearts out to the very, very end here. But if you had to try and isolate maybe a member on both sides, you want to try and talk about the MVP discussion fresh off of this game?
I do want to give MVP to someone from Underworld Empire. But on the other hand, I do think as well that there should be an MVP in Tigra this game. Not necessarily because his playstyle, but because a lot of opportunities they arose from Underworld Empire conquering a little bit of, catching out the Viger, I guess, figuring out when Tigra is getting caught out. But I want to give Tigra credit because if he is the one that's getting caught out, you can see how dependent he is, right? This whole match really depends on him getting caught out or not. The previous game that we saw, Tigra was monstrous. He was carrying out so many fights. And then when they focus out Tigra, that's exactly where there's their weak point. They found the weak pressure in that moment. And I think on the other hand, I do want to give credit also to Jonathan Isaac. He played phenomenal. Every situation that this game, he was there as Jarvan. He got out the knockups when it was needed. He was able to also sometimes even jump him forward Zonya when it was needed. And Kalem just being able to reap havoc. Baboon able to just blast everybody with lasers. And Burger Flipper, it was just in Shipex's face if he was not fighting the Fiora. So I would say it wasn't an individual. There was no MVP. Everybody did well. And it was a really good team effort. Everybody did their part really well. So props to Underworld Empire for this.
Absolutely. I do not envy the guys who are going to be cranking out their MVP votes, trying to pick through what was just mayhem, just pandemonium, like absolute just Ragnarok on the Rift here with some of these casks. But yeah, we're going to be kicking on over to one break, trying to get ourselves set up for an interview, trying to break this down one more time, and trying to put the finishing touches on this series to really close out what has been a spectacular day in the Cobalt Wins League. Don't go anywhere, and we will see you boys in just a moment. Ladies and gentlemen, for the very, very last time this evening, welcome back to the Cobalt Wins League. I hope you've all finally managed to rehydrate, refresh, polishing off your desserts as we brought you only the finest of quality banquet for you guys tonight. But joining us in the booth alongside Beetle and I is the victorious
Yes.
80 carry of Calum.
Hello.
Welcome aboard, sir.
Thank you.
Caleb, I want to just say congratulations first of all. How are you
Thank you.
feeling? What's going through your mind right now?
Honestly, I have a lot of nerves now after a lot of adrenaline, just because of the ending of that game 3. It couldn't have been a more hype ending, honestly, from my point of view. Except me maybe getting a penta in the last fight, like completely smurfing it. But yeah, that did not happen. When I died in the last fight, I was thinking the game was over.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Really, because like they was Elder and they would probably get Baron off it as well. But that burger flipper just ulted the base, and we just managed to stop the backs. It was crazy actually.
Yeah, because I do wonder though, how does it feel to play with a new team now that you see Burger Flipper being able to carry out your last game, but also you had to deal with a substitution change for game 3. How does it feel to play with like these new guys? Do you feel satisfied, or do you still want to work on some things?
There is a lot of things I think we need to work on, honestly. We don't have a lot of practice together yet, just because of scheduling within the team. But I feel like these players I'm playing with around me, I mean, I played with Jesse before, and also Jonathan Isaac, we played last split. So especially in game 3, I felt very comfortable, I think, in that sort of way. But then also having Burger Flipper compared to my previous tops, I think his pool is just like massive. He just whips out the Singed sometimes, and it just works. Like I can play backline for free. He just runs around in their team. It's actually, I think it's very good team we have now. I'm very satisfied actually.
Yeah, because you're saying like you're able to play backline. Now, I know as well when you look at, for example, soccer, the strikers always get the highlight, right? But it is still a team effort. You got your 4th MVP this season, and currently you're the most MVPs in the league. Thoughts on that? Do you deserve all of those MVPs, or is it your team carrying you through them?
I think yes, but I also think me and Jesse are the reason why I have the most MVPs. I don't think it's only me, because me and Jesse, I said it in the beginning of the season, I think we're the best bot in the league, for sure. Even before we changed our roster, and we played a lot of Lucian Army, we're basically Lucian Army 1 tricks back then. I think we were the best bot lane in the league, and that helps a lot for carrying.
And do you think also, if you look at game 1, because game 1 you guys didn't have the most favorable situation, how was that different compared to game 2 and 3? What happened in game 1 that you guys changed it up?
Honestly, I think we drafted very bad, honestly. There's a lot of things I would change about the draft in retrospect, but I also think we took fights that game where we really shouldn't have and tried to force a lot, and it just blew, or it just went back ways, and we instead lost our advantage that game.
Do you think the draft improved over the series? Like, what are your thoughts and feelings about the series?
I think game 2 draft, I was really happy with the draft, because we both wanted them to pick Seri, and then they picked Seri, so we got Sivir Yumi, which I wanted, and we also got Ori for free, which I thought was very weird in that case with Seri being picked. So I think game 2 I was really happy, and then game 3, with a small blunder, honestly, we could have just early picked Sion and give them Jarvan, and then I think we'd be fine. But honestly, it worked out in the end, so I'm happy, actually.
That's really, really nice. Yeah, because you all got a lot of picks that you wanted. On the other hand, Wiggy also got his trash. Were you a little bit scared of the support matchup, or were you confident in Jesse to beat him out with Renata?
Before the series, I wasn't really, but after game 1, how his Thresh looked was actually really good. So then we went with the approach of instead playing more enchanters for game 2, and then in game 3 we really just had to give it basically because we couldn't ban everything.
Yeah, it's nice words also that you're giving to Jesse. Jesse really helped you out with all your MVPs, and I think you guys are amazing on the bot side. Now I do want to actually go towards Jesse a little bit, because she said something, is that you guys will get revenge of last season's finals versus Reef Tsunami. That tomorrow Tsunami will play against Polymorph. And I'm really curious, you know, if they're gonna lose, then they're gonna face you guys. Would you rather want to face them now, or would you rather face them in the finals to make it extra special?
Honestly, I would want to face them in the finals, but I also want to shut down their run earlier if I could. Because honestly, I have a bet on this game and I need to win it, and I think it's a lot easier and a lot less pressure with winning it in the losers finals instead of the grand finals.
Oh, so you have a bet?
Yeah, I do have a bet. Logic has it pinned in the cafe shadow.
Would you mind sharing the bet one more time?
No, maybe that's it. No. We're gonna. I hate to cuff you up, Beetle, my beloved.
Okay.
I'm gonna have to cut you off there.
Yeah,
and
I will just say, go check it.
Slide that
Okay.
one over into the VC. That's not something we're gonna be broadcasting on the air.
Okay, good.
But what I will say, in all seriousness, to kind of close this one out and round out what was an incredible day, is that you guys finished this group out in 3rd place, right? You were already starting down in the lower bracket. You have had nothing but do or die series all the way down the line here. Do you think that you favor your chances to knock out both Polymorphed and Reef Tsunami? Do you think that you guys are riding that momentum out? Does that give you some sort of motivation and some sort of are you guys riding that wave? Or do you feel the pressure maybe even more intensely on some people?
I think Reef series, I'm very strong in belief that we will win that series pretty confidently, probably a 3-0. And that's why I put the bet and all that, because I think we really are going to win that series. The Polymorphed series, if we're playing them, I still think they're the best opponents we have left in the league, and already from the start of the season I thought they were going to be the best as well, just from playing that match. But I also do want to give a big shout out to Shipix, because I think he's the best AD in the league except me.
Right.
So I think the Polymorph series will be a lot harder for team play, and I need to prep a lot for that draft and the game plan for that one.
Absolutely. And I will say one more question before I let you go. There definitely seemed to be some camaraderie between the two teams, between you and Shipix. You know, both of you guys hovering the fiddlesticks. I appreciated that little nod back and forth here. I love that camaraderie. But right before we close, is you guys are the only ones to have so far taken a game off of Polymorphed. So do you think that this run, this underdog story, the Cinderella story, lower bracket finals, is that going to give you the push that you need to be able to knock them down at the very last line, considering that you have done nothing but exceed expectations time and time and time again in this playoffs?
Yeah, I think we will come out victorious in the end. I think it will be a 5-game banger if that series happens. But I think we will succeed in the end, because I think Polymorph, they're good, but I also do think we have a lot of advantages just in team coordination in the end.
Incredible. That's what we love to see, you know. Like, sure, you do have favorites, of course. You have underdogs, of course. But anybody can win on any given day. So, once more, congratulations, Calum. I hope you're able to slip on out of here and celebrate with your team a well-earned victory. But for the rest of us closing out this stream, this is going to be the end of the line for us tonight. But if you want more of what you guys saw here today, if you want to keep this hype train rolling, see more Cobalt Wins playoffs, tomorrow, 7:30 Central, do not miss it. There is going to be the aforementioned clash between Polly and Reef. So
don't miss it, guys.
Do
It's
not
a
want to
banger.
miss it. Absolutely. So my name has been Sandbag. Joining me has been Beetle for what proved to be a most glorious, glorious series. Have a great evening, and we will see you all tomorrow.
Good night.